Thou shalt have no other power before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I am the Most High thy power, and a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me, and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Most High thy power in vain, for the Most High will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Most High. In it thou shalt not do no work, any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Most High made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Most High blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Bahashem Mashaki Hawashai, the water of God. Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 The book of Psalms, chapter 121 in English. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 121 in English. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Most High, which hath made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Most High is thy keeper. The Most High is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Most High shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Most High shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, even forevermore. Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahushua, Tu'arat Yad. Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 The Lord's Prayer in the Lashon Kodash. Repeat after me. Abanawa, Bashamaya, Kodash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Lakwaka, Aba'ah, Tazaka, Ayah, Aisha, Baratiza, Kowa, Hayah, Bashamaya, Ananawa, Laham, Hayawam, Basalaknawa, Kabawakinawa, Wala'ah, Kabayanawa, Onasai one. Abode, Shino, Mayan, Rod, Hayah, Waka, Malakwa, Wala Aleph, Wakai Korah, Lawalumi, Hashim, Mashiach, Yahushua, Water, and Yah. Amen. Amen. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Bahashem Mashiach Yahushua, Tu'arat Yad. Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 Psalms chapter 92 in English. It's the book of Psalms chapter 92. It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Most High, and to sing praises unto thy name, O Most High, to show forth thy loving kindness in the morning, and thy faithfulness every night, upon an instrument of 10 strings, and upon the psaltery, and upon the harp with a song sound. For thou, Most High, hast made me glad through thy word. I will triumph in the works of thy hands. O Most High, how great are thy works, and thy thoughts are very deep. A brutish man knoweth not, neither doeth a fool understand this. When the wicked spring as the grass, and when all the workers of iniquity do flourish, it is that they shall be destroyed forever. But thou, Most High, art most high forevermore. For lo, thy enemies, O Most High, for lo, thy enemies shall perish. All the workers of iniquity shall be scattered. But my horn shall thou exalt like a horn of a unicorn. I shall be anointed with fresh oil. My eyes also shall see my desire on my enemies, and my ears shall hear my desire of the wicked that rise up against me. The righteous shall flourish. The righteous shall flourish like a palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those that be planted in the house of the Most High shall flourish in the courts of our Most High. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing, to show the Most High is upright. He is my rock, and there is no unrighteousness in him. By Shema Mashaki Awashai, Tuwara Tuyad. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 Psalm 150 to praise. This is the book, Psalms 150 to praise. Praise you, the Most High. Hallelujah. Praise the Most High in the sanctuary. Hallelujah. Praise him in the firmament of his power. Hallelujah. Praise him for his mighty acts. Hallelujah. Praise him according to his excellent greatness. Hallelujah. Praise him with the sound of the trumpet. Hallelujah. Praise him with the psaltery harp. Hallelujah. Praise him with the timbrel dance. Hallelujah. Praise him with the string instruments and organs. Hallelujah. Praise him upon the loud cymbals. Hallelujah. Praise him upon the high sounding cymbals. Hallelujah. And everything that hath breath, praise the Most High. Hallelujah. 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 Praise you, the Most High. By Shema Mashaki Awashai, Tuwara Tuyad. Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 Dear Father, we come to you once again on the Sabbath day. We thank you for giving us the Sabbath day. We ask that you forgive us for our sins, our transgressions, and our iniquities. Father, we ask that you continue to watch over us and allow us to walk in that narrow path. We ask that you keep us in your bosom forever for all the days of our life and the generations to come after us. Father, we ask that you continue to wake up the children of Israel as we continue to wake up the children that are scattered in the four corners of the earth. We ask that you watch over the brothers that go into the corners of the earth on your Sabbath day to preach your gospel and to preach your word unto the brokenhearted and unto the meek. Father, we ask that you watch over the widows, the fatherless, the hungry, and the sick, and we ask that you bring them back into the fold. All these things we ask in your son's name. Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahushua, the water from Yah. Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 You may be seated. All praises. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. All praises, man. You know, this is what it's all about, right? Once again, we at the Sabbath day, right? You know, this is what it's about: congregating, being that family, being part of that brother, that sister. Right? A lot of people, you know, they claim to be following the commandments, to follow the law, statutes, and commandments, but they forget one of the big ones. One of the big ones is that we congregate, that we have a holy convocation. Right? That's what that Sabbath day is meant for. Even if you gather with 2 or 3 people, right, you want to make sure that we are within the realms of the Most High. Right? Because these things, the reasons why we went into slavery, the reason why we had all these bad things happen to us as a people is because we broke the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? People might say, well, you know, a lot of people in this truth, they want to choose which commandments they fit. They want to choose and say, you know what, I'm gonna follow this commandment, but not that commandment. Right? Scriptures talk about being perfect in the eyes of the Most High. Right? Being perfect meaning what? We got to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? So like I said earlier, you know, we'll be going over a couple of things before we go into this portion today. Usually how we do it, I know you're a little bit newer, so usually how we do it, we have the portion every Sabbath. Right? We'll have a portion that's set out. We'll probably, like today, we'll be reading Exodus chapter 30 to Exodus chapter 34.
And twice in a year, we'll go through the whole portion. So we go through the portion from Genesis all the way to Numbers, right? And we do that twice a year. So we should have everything understood about those first 5 books. One of the things I've come to realize is that, the Bible is difficult to understand if you don't understand the first 5 books. That's where everything is built. That's where that foundation can be found. Right? So when you start hearing Christ talk about the children of Israel, when you start hearing the prophets and the servants talk about the law, statutes, and commandments, you have to understand where the principles were established, where the morals, the foundation was established first. So that's what we read. We read through the portion and we go through that and we get good understanding. Like we do it, if you have any precepts you want to bring out, please feel free. This is a precept-friendly room. We want to have as much precepts as we can. Brothers and sisters can attest. We go through a lot of precepts during the Sabbath day. Right? This is how we get understanding. This is how we get our wisdom, our knowledge, right? To understand the Bible in its true context. Right? So before we open up, let's get Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17.
It's the book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of Mashiach Yahushua, giving thanks to the outer one and the Father by him.
Right. So everything we do in the name of Mashiach Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Right? And we know that. Why don't we call him Jesus Christ? Very simple. What you got, Brother Don?
Because there's no J in the Hebrew.
Right. There's no J in the Hebrew tongue. Right. You know that Christ was speaking Hebrew. Right. When you start looking at the text and things like that, we know that his name couldn't have been Jesus. So people are calling on his name, thinking they're calling on the Most High, not the Most High. They're calling on the Son of the Most High. Right? But really, they're calling on Caesar Borgia, right? So we have to make sure that, especially our young children in the room, that you got to get that image out your head, right? Thinking that Christ was a blue-eyed, blonde-haired angel, right? That's not true according to the Bible. That's not true according to what we learn. We learn the truth, right? What is the truth according to the Bible? The Bible. Prove it. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says, prove all things, hold fast to that which is good. Right? So what's the precept for that?
Psalms 119, 142.
Come on, bring it out, man. All right, Psalms 119 verse 142. Right. And I bring up, these are what they consider basic precepts, but you got to understand the basics before we go further, right? Like I always say, I know you guys want to know about the third heavens and where the Most High resides and things like that, but you got to get the milk first, right? Understanding the milk allows us to grow in this truth. If you're choking on the milk, you're going to have a hard time eating the steak, man. You're going to have a hard time when that chicken or that beautiful dish comes to you, and now it's time to eat that. You got to understand that you have to drink the milk first, right? When you first come into this truth, you don't have teeth, right? You don't have teeth to grind up all of these things. You can't digest what is being said. You got to learn how to take that milk first. That is your foundation. That is your principles that you sit on. What you got, brother?
What was it? 1 Thessalonians
5:21.
And then Psalms 119.
Psalms 119, verse 142. Right? And if you got your Bible, I always tell people, especially if you got a new Bible, highlight it, man. Put your stars next to it. Put your swords next to it. These are basic scriptures that you wanna pull out. Because being an Israelite, it's like we have to defend ourselves all the time. When we're a Christian in the Sunday church, you don't have to defend it, right? But when you become an Israelite, it's like, wait, what are you talking? Prove that, right? And you got to be able to go to that verse and pull it out the Bible, because nobody's gonna believe it if you don't read it, all right? So read what you got. Psalms 119, verse 142.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 142.
Right.
Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth.
And thy law is the what?
And thy law is the truth.
And thy law is the truth. It's very simple, right? It's very simple. Thy law is the truth. Everything that's contrary to the laws of the Heavenly Father is what? A lie, right? If we're learning something that the Most High never ordained us to do, it's a lie, right? And it's very simple things, right? You don't get to serve the Most High how you want to serve Him. This is not up to you. This is not how you feel. The Most High doesn't care about how we feel. Everybody understand that, right? Right? The Most High doesn't care if you want to go out on a Sabbath day and go to the mall to get that sale at Macy's. He don't care about that, right? We serve the Most High first, nobody else. Nobody in this room comes first above the Most High, right? So we got to make sure we get back to the basics before we go to the meat. All right, so give me Isaiah chapter 28. Start at verse 9.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 28 and verse 9.
Uh-huh.
Whom shall he teach knowledge?
Right.
And whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
Whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Sound doctrine, not just any doctrine or false doctrine, sound doctrine. Right? How do we get sound doctrine? Let's see. Read on.
Them that are weaned from the milk.
Them that are weaned from the milk. What is the milk? Does anybody know? What's the milk?
Understanding the
You there?
Bible.
Right? It's that basic understanding. Right? Having that basic understanding, that's what the milk is. Right? Read on.
And drawn from the breasts, for precept must be upon precept.
Precept must be upon precept. Read on.
Precept upon precept.
Read on.
Line upon line.
So to get true understanding of the Bible, you got to go precept upon precept, line upon line. Read on.
Line upon line.
Right? Read.
Here a little and there a little.
Here a little and there a little. Right? So you got to be able to take from here a little bit. You got to be able to take from here a little bit to make up the true story of what's going on. Because that's exactly what they do with John 3:16. Right? Or 1 Timothy 4:4. 1 Timothy 4:4, they'll say, oh, you can eat whatever you want to eat. What about the rest of the Bible, though? What about when God said he's coming back to destroy Edom off the face of the earth? What about that? You just forget about the book of Obadiah. God loved everybody. God loved everybody when he killed all of the Egyptians. Right? Or all those Hamites we were killing when we were going into the land. The Canaanites. Right? But they don't want to talk about that because what? They have no understanding. Why? They didn't go precept upon precept, line upon line. Here a little and there a little. What you know?
I was gonna say that was something that I was dealing with the past few days. My brother's just bringing up. What about John 3:16? And I'm like, how about you just read? Even because I was like, nah, I'm not letting this, this pattern take a hold of me anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, Father made me go to scripture, and I was like, you know what? Here's the answer. Go 2 scriptures up, and it talks about how Moses,
right,
the servant,
the children of Israel, right.
There's the answer. Was he really talking about everybody, or was he just talking about the children? The answer right there.
Right. One of the things I tell brothers when they first come into the truth, one of the first things, after you understand that you're an Israelite, one of the first things you want to understand is how to break down John 3:16. That should be your first breakdown in understanding. How do you break that down? Because they're going to go there. Right? When you start talking about children of Israel and who's God's chosen people, they're going to be like, what about, wait, God did for God so loved the world. What about that? Learn how to break that down first. Right? I know it's basic, but you got to understand these things. Right? You got to understand these things. Right? What you got, man?
Because you said some key things, man. And desiring that milk. And I got 1 Peter 2:2. You want to read it?
Matter of fact, you can read it. Go ahead. Stand up when you read it out.
It's the book of 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 2. As newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby.
Absolutely. Perfect precept, dog. Perfect precept. Desire that sincere milk. Right? Sincere milk. You want to do this with honesty. You don't have your own intentions behind what you're looking for. Because I tell everybody in these scriptures, if you want to smoke crack, you can find a scripture in the Bible that can probably convince you can smoke crack. Right? I'll tell you straight up. Right? If you want to smoke weed, you can find a scripture in the Bible that says, look, he gave us every herb in the field. It's good for our use, isn't it? Right? But you know why they say these things? Because they have no understanding. It's precept upon precept, line upon line. Here a little, then there a little. It's very simple, right? Make sure you're reading the Bible before you come to your own understanding. Make sure you have elders above you, man. All right? I know Sons of Thunder has an elder above them. I know LOZ, Led Zion, has elders above them. All right, what you got? Go ahead.
Like, which herb do they use to like make crack? Because Does herb have other uses?
For crack?
No.
No.
No, other uses like
For what plant?
like healing properties.
Absolutely. Well, wait, hold on. Let me be clear. I want to be clear what you're asking. Ask your question again, so I'll be clear.
So like the herb that people use to make crack, like instead of making crack, can you use it for different like things?
Yes. And I'll show you that. Give me Sarah. Because when you start looking at those drugs, I mean, even something like marijuana, right? It's what you do with that herb, right? Or even cocaine. Cocaine comes from a natural plant called, I think it's cocoa or something like that. It's from a plant, right? The basic structure of that drug is from a plant, right? But we are to use drugs not drugs, herbs for different reasons. So for example, the herb that they put in cocaine is used for what? Numbing properties, right? They use that to numb, like let's say you're having surgery or things like that. They use these things to numb your body, numb your mind, numb your brain. But what? People abuse these herbs, right? They abuse them, right? Give me, let me see, give me a second. Hold on, let me find that real quick. All right, so we are to use herbs, right? But we are not to abuse them. Give me Sirach 38 and verse 1. Say that again, sis.
For medicinal purposes, we should use them. We can cook them,
Yes.
we can make tea, but we're not supposed to smoke them.
Absolutely, right, absolutely. Right?
38:1.
Yeah, start at verse
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 38 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him.
Right.
For the Most High hath created him,
Mm-hmm.
for of the Most High cometh healing.
So that's the first thing we gotta understand. Of the Most High cometh healing, man. Right? You gotta go through the Most High first. You can't just say you're gonna rely on your physician. You gotta make sure God is always involved in this mixture. Right? Now he does put physicians there because what? The Most High uses them, even as preachers. Right? The Most High doesn't come down directly to speak to every individual. But what is Romans, I think it's 10 and 14, it says, how can they hear unless a man preach, right? Unless I send preachers to them, unless I have the servants, right? So he uses men to fulfill what he needs to do, just like Edomites. Edomites fulfill their duty, right? Edomites play a correction to the children of Israel, right? And after that correction is done, what? They shall be annihilated off the face of the earth, right? What you got, sis?
What chapter was that?
That's Sirach, chapter 38 and verse 1. We're starting at verse 2 right now.
Okay.
Or Ecclesiastes, right? So start at verse 2 again.
Verse 2. For of the Most High cometh healing.
Of the Most High cometh healing. Read on.
And he shall receive honor of the king.
Mm-hmm.
The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. The Most High hath created medicines out of the earth.
That's a big one. He said the Most High created medicines out of the earth. So just like we talked about, right? It has those properties of medicine, right? So if you have something that you're going through very painful, they would use that plant, right? They would use that plant, use it to numb themselves, to do whatever their need was it for, right? But they didn't abuse these things, right? Read on. Salaki, what you got, brother?
No.
Okay, come read on.
And he that is wise will not abhor them. Was not the waters made sweet with wood?
Right. So it says, scripture say, he that is wise, you won't abhor the herbs. What does that mean? What does it mean to abhor something? Right?
To hate it.
Not abuse.
To hate it.
To hate it. Right? It means you won't hate it. If you're a wise man, if you understand anything about the Lord, how he created the earth, the moon, the stars, the wind, the trees, the grass, the fruit, right? If you understand any of these things, you would understand that the herbs that are in the earth can be used for your healing. Right? So one of the big names that we know that was doing this was what? Dr. Sebi, right? I mean, they say he just died. I don't know. That's a whole nother story. But Dr. Sebi was claiming that he could heal anything.
He could heal cancer.
He could heal cancer, right? All of these things he was claiming you could heal, right? And he knew that. He was talking this stuff a long time ago, back in the 80s, that look, if you just use the herbs in the right way, you can do it, right?
And
I stand firm with that because my mom, she was able to get rid of my sister's asthma.
Mm-hmm.
That the white doctors were saying she needed the inhaler and a nebulizer.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually was making my sister look like a zombie, like she was sick.
Trust and look.
And it took a little longer because you have to be patient with the medicinal plants, but she no longer has asthma.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a perfect example. So, I mean, I've heard people in their testimonies, I know people that say they've taken herbs and things like that and have healed themselves in the process. Right? When we talk about cancer, people start fasting. We already know fasting is a good thing from the Most High. You talk about fasting, then you start adding the medicinal herbs that the Most High has given us. Look, man, anything is possible. You just got to make sure the Lord is involved in that. Right? Having that faith first. Right? Because the Most High will give you these things. He'll place it in front of you. If you are a child of the Most High, doing what you need to do, the Most High will take care of you. Right? Right? Remember in Sirach chapter 27, I believe it's verse 3. It talks about that wisdom. What does it create? It creates perfect peace and health. Right? Having the right wisdom gives you the perfect health. Right? We just have to know how to use these things. Right? What you got?
Yeah, because it's funny how this was being, because I was just thinking about this the other day. It's like all Esau does is destroy everything. And it's like when it comes to the matter of like cocaine, or like how they think that they're doing alchemical and breaking chemistry down.
Right.
It's like they're just destroying the wholeness that Father created it to be. And it's funny because in every form that I've ever seen that they created something, it always turns out white.
Right, absolutely.
I'm like, I noticed that, and I was like, well, that's kind of pretty obvious. They just want to destroy it because they know that there's a lesson, so they make everything else about His creation lesson.
So for example, like when you talk about something like sugar, right? I mean,
yeah, man,
you have something natural sugar. Natural sugar is brown, and then they just turn it white. Right?
Rice.
Right, rice. Rice isn't even white. They start bleaching the rice. All of these things, right? But these things that we're learning now is what wisdom, because we wouldn't have known about these things if the Most High didn't place it in front of us. Now we start realizing, man, the earth is wicked for real. Right? We talking about the white strawberries that Publix is selling.
Right.
How does Publix turn strawberries white? Right? And why would you do that? Like, what was the purpose? Somebody said, I just want to make these strawberries look just nice. Why would you do that? For what reason? You're messing with something that is supposed to match your body, physiologically, biologically, and then you're tampering with it. This is why you have so many people with cancer, high blood pressure, all these things. So we have to be mindful of these things. You see white strawberries, don't eat that thing, man. White chocolate. How did you get white chocolate? How did you do that? How did you do that? It comes from something that's brown. How did you get the chocolate white? It just goes to show you how wicked these people are. Remember, these are the rulers of the earth. These are the people we battle. And it's not just physical. This is something that's coming from a spiritual standpoint. Right? What you got?
So if rice is brown and they bleach it, how is it still edible?
You said what? How, if it's
Like if rice is brown and they bleach it, how is it still edible?
I don't know. I can't answer that question for you. Right?
That's why we get sick.
Right.
That's why we're not happy.
Now, and that goes to another point when we start talking about these herbs and things, right? So, for example, anything healthy is expensive, right? When you talk about wild rice, they don't even sell it in the large bags like white rice. They sell it in the little bag this big for $12 at Whole Foods, right? They sell it for $12, but you could get a big bag of white rice for $2.99 at Publix. Why is that, right? All of these, you gotta understand, all of these things target the children of Israel. They know who the poor and the meek are on the earth. We would want to do that, especially those serving the Most High. We would want to eat the fine, dainty meats, right? The things that are healthy, not having steroids in them. But we can't afford that, man, right? So we do the best we can. We do the best way we can, right? Every now and then I might buy the wild rice, but you'll see me eating that white rice time to time, right? Because I gotta eat. We talked about eating the defilement. Let's finish that and then we'll get that. Finish where we at right quick.
This is the book of Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 10. Well, verse 9. I'm sorry, verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge? Right. Whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Right. Then,
like it, no, jump back to Sirach.
Oh, slap. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 38 and verse 1. Honor a physician with honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him. For the Most High has created him. For of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. The Most High has created medicines out of the earth.
Now, these are the doctors we should really be looking after, right? These holistic doctors. Now, if we need surgery and things like, of course, using wisdom, we're gonna do it, right? The Most High has placed them here, right? They could do surgery. You need open hearts, or whatever the case might be. I'm not gonna sit here and say, hey, no, don't do it, right? If you know you can't breathe, you're on your deathbed. They say, look, man, this is the only way. Do it, right? That's using wisdom. But we want to avoid that by all costs. We want to prevent that at all costs. How do we do that? Proper prevention, right? Preparing, eating the proper way, using the herbs to heal us before we get sick, right? Don't wait until you get sick and then you start, oh, now I got to start eating spinach. You should have been eating spinach a long time ago. We know that is good. That's from the herb, right? All of these things, eat some fruit, eat your vegetables, right? So read on.
Verse 4. The Most High has created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them.
You reading?
Was not the waters made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof may be known?
That the virtue thereof may be known. The waters were sweet. They were made sweet. When was the waters made sweet?
It wasn't destroyed by Esau?
No. Absolutely right. Right? This is why we go through the portion. Right? That's when the water was made sweet. That's what it's referring to. Wasn't the water made sweet? Right? The Most High gave them that water. They were thirsty, and the Most High gave them something to drink. The water was made sweet. Right? Read on.
Verse 6. And he hath given men skill, that he might be honored in his marvelous works.
Right?
With such doeth he heal men.
With such do he heal men. So Dr. Saban, we can't say he's a false dude. He's telling you that people like Dr. Saban was made. He's telling there are people who study the herbs. Right? We got a brother that was in Fort Lauderdale. He's studying the herbs right now. He wants to be that holistic doctor for Israel. These are the things we should strive to be. Right? Desire that skill from the Most High to heal men, to know what herb does what when you put it together. Because some herbs aren't as strong unless you match it with something else, right? If anybody knows what's going on that end of the world, when you put these herbs together, that's how they make like pharmaceuticals. Most pharmaceuticals are made from what? Natural plants. They use herbs to make these pharmaceuticals. They just put something in it to what? To make it stronger, right? That's all they're doing, right? So read on.
Which with such doeth he heal men, and taketh away their pains.
Right.
Of such doeth the apothecary make and confection.
Right. So what does that mean? An apothecary makes a confection. Right. That means you have somebody the little bowl thing that they put it in. Right. They make that little concoction or the confection. They make that medicine out of this thing. Right. They're putting all the herbs. They're putting their spices and things like that. Right. Talking about ginger and cinnamon and things of that nature. These things are what heals us, right? And we have to be wise to know how to use them. Right? A lot of people from the island still have that. They're still connected to that somewhat, right?
And I can tell you that that's the only reason why the Haitian people are still there.
Absolutely.
Because the hospital,
right.
They're all destroyed. So that's how they survive.
Absolutely right. A lot of people in the island, you'll tell somebody in the island, you tell them you're sick, they go in that kitchen. Listen, man, the next couple of hours you feeling like nothing happened. Your throat sore, they go. I remember my grandmother used to do that for me, man. Right? You tell them you're getting sick. I don't know where she learned this from, right? But it was there, using herbs, these natural remedies to heal ourselves. Right? So read on.
And of his word there is no end, and from him is peace over all the earth.
Right?
My son, in thy sickness be not negligent.
Right? So when you get sick, don't be negligent. Don't start neglecting these herbs. It's telling you right there. Right? Read on.
But pray unto the Most High.
You gotta pray unto the Most High. Read on.
And he will make thee whole.
Keep reading.
Leave off from sin.
So this is the whole part of it right here. We talked about root cause, right? A think a couple of weeks ago, we talked about that root cause, right? People want to say, oh, you know, I have a headache. Let me take a Tylenol. But what is making your head hurt? What is the root cause of that problem? Why? What is the root cause of me being sick? Read that part again.
Leave off from sin,
Right?
and order thy hands aright,
Right?
and cleanse thy heart from all wickedness. Give a sweet Savior,
Right?
and
I just wanted to sacrifice, but we know that we should be using these things as wisdom. We should be using these things as what is wisdom according to the Bible? What is wisdom? We went over this. Law, statutes, and commandments, right? You know, properly applying what we know. Because it's one thing to know the law, statutes, and commandments, right? But people apply them differently. So are you applying what you know in the right manner? Applying these herbs in the right manner. That is what we call wisdom. Proper application of knowledge. Proper application of law, statutes, and commandments. Come on, go ahead.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16 and verse 12. And it goes, we'll start right 38-9. It says, for it was neither herb nor modifying plaster that restored them to health, but the word, O Yahweh, which healeth all things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Most High comes first, man. Right? The Most High always comes first. He gives us tools and remedies in the earth. Right?
Wisdom of Solomon 16:12.
Good precept, God. Good precept. All right. So we know these things can be used to our benefit and to our healing. We just got to study it, man. Because we lost, when we talk about losing our heritage, that's one of the things we lost. Right? That's one of the things we strayed away from. Being able to heal ourselves, knowing the apothecary and how to make that confection. We lost it. Right? So if you ever get a chance, buy your herb books, man. Go on YouTube. Oh, how do I heal this? Right? This happened. What do I do? Right? YouTube has a plethora of knowledge. I'm not gonna lie. It has wickedness. It can be used for wicked. It can be used for good. We have to use it for good. Hallelujah. I'll praise. All right. So there's one thing. There's a topic I want to touch on before we move forward, because when we talk about the milk, right, we talk about understanding the basics of scriptures. I think one of the scriptures that we have to understand is, or not one of the scriptures, but we have to understand why we do certain things and why we shouldn't do certain things, right? So there's a picture that I use. I brought this up before, right? Let me see if I can find it. Right? Today we're gonna go over the apparel of man and woman, right? Because a lot of people, you know, this book is jacked up, right? A lot of people, they think that you can do this and you can still worship the Most High, right? When we were in the church, I seen women dressed like this that go to church on Sunday. That's the crazy part, right? When we go to visit churches, I mean, even as an Israelite, we visited a church sometime last year. You know, you got the women in there that they don't know what is modest. They don't know what they should be wearing. If you're a woman or a man of the Most High, it should be automatically seen. If I see you in the mall, I should be able to say, that's an Israelite, right? I shouldn't be crying, man. I see she got I don't know, it looks like she got fringes on, but I don't know, it's not. No, we shouldn't be doing it, because it's a lot of things that come with it. Scriptures say that a man or a woman shall be known by their attire, right? We should be known by the things that we wear, right? So when we look at stuff like this, right? Give me I think it's Proverbs Chapter 7, right? Proverbs Chapter 7. Because as the children of Israel, we are not to do these things, man. We are not to do these things.
Hey, what's the topic today?
We're going over the portion. I just wanted to touch over this real quick, all right? And this goes into that milk, all right? So read what you got.
Proverbs 7:6.
You can start at 6, I believe. What is 6?
For at the window of my house I looked through my.
Yeah, you can start at 6.
This book of Proverbs Chapter 7 and verse 6. For at the window of my house I looked through my casement and beheld among the simple ones.
Right?
I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding.
A young man that was void of understanding. So as a man of understanding, we should know what to be looking for. This is talking about what we're about to talk about, you know, heart, that attire of a heart. We should be able to see a harlot from a mile away, right? We shouldn't be getting caught up by these things. And this is not to say that we find a woman or a man in the truth just because he's wearing fringes means he's an Israelite. Because you got a lot of wicked dudes and a lot of wicked women in this truth. We know that to be true. Just because you don't eat pork doesn't mean you're an Israelite. You know what I'm saying? Are you following the law, statutes, and commandments wholly? Are you staying within the realms of the Most High? Right? That's what we strive to do, and that's what we will continue to teach. Right? Read on.
Passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way to her house, right? In the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night, right? And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot.
With the attire of an harlot. Now, from your perspective, what would you guys say is an attire of a harlot? What you got, bro? This is good for you to know. You need to know this while you're young. Absolutely. What's the attire of a harlot?
Like someone who dresses up in a clothes.
Yes. I'll take that. You right? We'll take that. Somebody that dresses up like a harlot, right? You dress up like you want to be used. You're here for you're here to show off your what I call assets, right? As women or men, even because you have men in the truth who like to show off their assets. Wicked, but it's true. I've seen it with my own eyes. All right? And these are brothers who can't be corrected. It's like, it doesn't say it's a sin. Why can't I wear this? Right. Listen, there's a masculine and feminine spirits with the type of clothing that you put on. Everybody understand that? Right? And I'm gonna pull up some pictures in a second. But let's talk about some more. What would be the attire of a harlot? Right?
A short skirt.
A short skirt. What else?
Your breast.
Having your breast, your cleavage hanging out. These are things that our young women, our older women should not be doing, right? Because what your body belongs. Who does your body belong to?
God. Well,
God first, absolutely, and then your husband. Right. Your body doesn't belong to the world. Your body doesn't belong to Instagram, right? Because you have a lot of women who like to do that, right? Because what they're trying to do, what we call it thirst trapping in today's day, right? They're trying to attract that man, but you're gonna attract the wrong man. Even if the man does that, you want to show off your little biceps. You want to make sure you got the right angle, right? Right? You want a woman like that? Go ahead. You're gonna attract the wrong person. Right? Absolutely.
From what I see now, soon enough, people are just going to just walk around naked.
Absolutely. It's getting to that point. Absolutely.
It's very much getting to that point.
And this is why scriptures talk about, when we read last week about going back to the old path, going back to the old way. Because we know that the old way was better than we are right now. The world is going to continue in its wickedness. It will not get better. That's what scripture said. Right? So just imagine, we're only in 2021. From what I've seen from, I was 1995 up until now, the world has changed drastically. So you could just imagine in another 20 years what it will be like, or what our children's children will have to deal with if we're still here. Right? It's not going to get better. Right? They tell you that you're being too strict, right? Why are you telling them to dress like that, dress like that? You're being too controlling. You're being misogynistic, right? Not feminist, right? And we don't deal with that in the truth. We don't deal with misogyny and feminists in the truth. We don't hate our women and we don't hate our men. We are to love each other as a family. It's all about correction, doing what's the right thing, right? Because sometimes your spirit will tell you that something is off and you'll do it anyway. Scriptures talk about having that doctrine towards itching ears, right? You want to hear something in the doctrine, you make it up in the Bible to say, you see, it says this here. I looked it up in the here. That means I can wear whatever I want to wear. That's not true. We are not to dress like this, man. A woman of God does not dress like this, right? We have certain things. What are some more things? You said attire. You said the short skirt. Somebody that dresses like a hoe. What does a hoe dress like? Minimum clothing, showing everything. Tight clothing, right? We talk about leggings, right? I've seen that before in the mall, right? It's like you're wearing nothing, You might as well get a tattoo and just walk around with no pain. Get all of this tattoo and just walk around like that. Because that's how tight it is. You can see the curve, you can see everything. We should not be seeing all of that. Because a real man, vice versa, a man and a woman, we should be looking at other things versus them. Mm-hmm. Right? A real man's not going to look at a woman and take that seriously. Right? So there are certain things that you have to, according to the Most High, how you're supposed to dress. Right? One of the big issues that we talk about is the whole pants situation, right? Anybody who has come from the church, that's come from, I'll say from early 80s, 70s, 60s, beyond, they'll tell you what, that women weren't wearing pants in the church. Why is that? Do you think they made that up with philosophy of men? Do you think that was a doctrine that they just made up? No, they read it somewhere in the Bible, but what happened? The world continues to get more wicked. Right? They'll convince you that what? You can start doing these things. It's okay. Look, sis, put on those pants. You still can worship the Most High. Right? Look, eat pork. You still can worship the Most High. But these are things we are not to do. Scriptures say go back to the old path. Right? When we talk about the old path, when we talk about pants, when did our women start wearing pants? I would say after that. Say that again. In the 70s, and you know why? It was after that whole the feminist movement, right? They weren't wearing pants until then. So when we talk about the old path, what were the women we doing before that? Because even when we talk about slavery, when we were in those fields, right? We were wearing dresses. They got pictures of women wearing dresses in the field, right? So I know brothers out here, I know there's some contradicting things with brothers. Some brothers say, look, the pants are made for a woman, you know, they can wear that. But you have to ask yourself, is this of the Most High? Right? And people might think this is not a big deal, right? But let's get some scripture according to that. Obviously, we're going to go to Deuteronomy 22 and verse 5. Let's get that. All right, Deuteronomy 22 and verse 5. See what that says. And I'm gonna pull up some pictures real quick because I want you guys to make sure we understand the difference between a harlot, right, and the difference between a righteous woman. You should be able to tell by the attire, right? You should be able to tell that I'm an Israelite because I wear my fringes, right? I'm not walking around here with skin tight jeans on, right? And having skinny jeans is off. Right? Because I know a lot of men, they want to wear those skinny jeans with the Vans. That's off. That is a feminine spirit, man. I don't want to see the back of your cap. That's right. What you got, brother?
I just had, I was with one brother the other day. I had to thoroughly, I keep to myself a little bit with certain things. I looked down, I'm like, bruh, your pants are so tight, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Skin tight, man. I was like,
listen, I went to the store. That's funny. You said it. I went to the store, right? Bro, I'm looking at the store. I'm looking for jeans now, mind you. Regular fitting jeans for me to be comfortable in so I can walk around. Right. You know, have wiggle room, you feel me? I see it's nothing but slim, tight. Waist size small, pants, the thighs small, like it's tight. Almost the material is pretty much elastic in it now, so they could give room to stretch and be able to walk around in these tight clothes. I'm like, bro, this is ridiculous. I walked out the store. I'm like, bro, y'all have that's comfortable fitting. Everything is skinny and tight, especially to the calf. Like a man you should not be able to see a man's thigh in his pants. You should not be able to see his thigh in his pants. That's crazy. That's crazy. Hold on, let me see something. All right.
What the?
Now,
Hold on. Let's talk about this. When we something like this, when I talk about clothes bringing a type of spirit, we talked about the attire of a harlot, right? You got the attire of a man. You got the attire of, if I dress like a police officer, I'm a police officer, right? We know that this does not have a feminine spirit on it. We know just by looking at, by the wisdom that the Most High has given us, we know that this is not correct in the eyes of the Most High.
Right.
Yes, Gabrielle.
And her stepson is being
and it just goes to absolutely. It just goes to show you how backwards the world is going. right? So we got to make sure that we're paying attention to these things. So read what you got.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, and verse, what is it again? 5. Verse 5, sorry. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, and verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. So when we go into the Hebrew, right, they'll say that wear, right? They'll say that this is talking about army. This is talking about the army. They shouldn't be wearing armor's garments, right? But when you break that word down, it starts talking about what? The things that pertain to, right? The things that pertain to. We know that this is not a feminine thing for women to be doing, right? When we talk about the whole pants thing, you can't show me one place in the scriptures that pants were made for a woman, right? But now they say, oh, we can do that, right? If I make a rainbow shirt with a U-neck on the bottom, and I say, look, man, this is made for men, wear this. What you gonna say? You're gonna say no. Just because I said it's for a man don't mean it's for a man. Just because I said it's for a woman don't mean it's for a woman, right? When we look at this, these are things that our women should not do. When we talk about being in a dress, it's very hard for our women to be masculine in a dress. It's very hard for you to have that manly spirit while you have a dress on. Absolutely, having that outfit, right? You know what I'm saying? So we practice these things. Now, if you're in your house, can you wear pants? Go ahead. Absolutely. If you want to wear pants around the house, that's fine. But it's just like having no fringes on. What is a house made for? To cover a man's shame, right? That's what a house is made for. Scriptures tell us that. A roof is given over our head to cover your shame, cover your nakedness, your sin, right? But when we go on the street, we make sure we represent ourselves as Israelites. We make sure we represent ourselves as soldiers, as ambassadors, right? These are things we have to do. Scripture talks about showing that light, shedding that light. This is that light it's talking about. It's a very beautiful thing when our sisters got their dresses on, their head wraps. Our brothers got their boots on, right? Looking warriors, got their garments on, right? What you got, sis?
Verse 7:9 and 10.
Yes, let's get that. Let's look at it. Read that again, then let's get there.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, and verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, right? So what is that talking about? If we're talking about warrior garments, right? What is that talking about? When were the women in war? Right? So they'll try to use it. Listen, when scriptures talk about finding that doctrine, that having that itching ear, this is what that's referring to. Right? This is what they're referring to. You can find certain things in the scriptures that will appease to your liking. Everything in the Bible don't feel good. I know for me it don't. And I know for you guys it doesn't either. But we know that these are the things we ought to do to what? To strive in the Most High. All right? These are the things we ought to do. All right? So read what you got. Go back to 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 9. All right? It's very simple, and I think we've come so far, right, that we try to let the basics go. Right? We got to go back to the basics. The basics is what saved us in the first place. Right? These things, when you go to the bathroom, Brother Don, right? I have a quick question for you. I know you like to answer questions, right? When you go into the bathroom, if there was no words there, how do you tell which one is the man's bathroom? How do you tell which one is the woman's bathroom? What do you see on the sign?
Because if there was without a sign?
No, let's say there's two bathrooms, right? Let's say there's no words on the sign, right? Let's just say it's a picture. How do you tell which bathroom is which?
Oh, because when you go to the bathroom in those different times, there's for the guys it's just like a normal person unit. And then when it's the girls restroom, there's it has this weird triangle shape.
What is that triangle shape? What you got, sis? I know you got it. What is it? A dress. Right? And it goes back to basics. Like we're trying to complicate things here. It goes back to basics, right? You look at that and it's very simple. Okay, this is the woman's bathroom. Why? Because he has on a dress. She has on a dress. This is the man's bathroom because why? He's just straight down, right? These are the things we have to go back to, right? We read today. You hold 1 Timothy 4. Give me Romans 15:4, right? And I know what happens in the media. They try to portray to you that, look, you don't want to look like a grandma. Look like this, right? Yeah. Don't look like a grandma. Get yourself a good man, right? Right? This is not the woman. Our men you should not be striving after this.
But they do.
Right? Absolutely. I agree.
That's why they're doing it for attention.
I agree.
And they do get it.
And they get it. But they're going to get it from the wrong dude. That's the problem. Right? And then they want to talk about, there's no good guys out here. Right?
Yeah, perfect example, because at work we have cameras that I can see the front desk area even though I'm in the back office.
Right.
And this girl comes in and I had to do a double take because I thought she was naked.
Right.
She literally had just like this skin colored like tube top and like skin colored shorts.
Right.
And I was like, she coming naked?
That's
I screenshot that thing because I had to go show my coworkers. I'm like, did you see this?
Right.
But that's literally what it's come down to that. Like the society now makes it okay, and then they wonder why there's all these rapes, why there's all these assaults, sexual assaults. But you portray yourself available.
Right.
To that.
It's available. Hey, look, I'm open. Shop is open. When you dress like this, you're telling men that shop is open. Have some of my cookies. Right? I got something for you. Come over here, brother. Right? But using wisdom, what does scripture say? When we just read in Proverbs Chapter 7, it talked about that man was what? Void of understanding. He was void of wisdom. He didn't have that. So as brothers in this room, and the sisters too, right? We are not to do this. I know they put this on the front page. They put this on newspaper. They put this in the magazines, right? They put this on TV, on Instagram. You see it every time you open up your social media. But this is not what we do. We are not to conform to this world. Of this world, this is how you dress. Christian church women dress like this. I've seen it. I'm not lying to you. Right? What you got, Josh?
Wow, I just went blank. That's not bad.
Huh?
I just went blank.
Okay, it's all good. Just raise your hand when you get it. It's all good. No worries. So read what you got.
This is the book of Romans. What you want me to get? Romans
15:4.
15:4. No, got it. This is the book of Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
Why would that even be in the scriptures? Right? Everything that was written aforetime was written for our learning. Why is that? Because we lost our heritage. Right? Our mothers and even our mothers, our fathers who raised us, they don't understand much. They can tell you a little bit, but it's only so far they can go back. Why? Because they've been destroyed as well. You're looking at 4th and 5th generation of people that have been destroyed. Right? So to get back to that, what do we have to do? Read the Bible. What is the Bible saying? The Most High is not the author of confusion. Right? He's not here to confuse people. This is why women feel or men feel they can just be transgender. Right? The Bible addresses all of that. Right? Scripture in Deuteronomy chapter 23, it says if a man have his privy member cut off, he can't enter into the kingdom of heaven. Why isn't the church reading that? Right? Right? Absolutely. You can't enter into the congregation with that. Right? You cutting off what the Most High gave you. That's not of the Most High. We are totally against that. What you got, sis?
We have to be smart about it. Most of them who are pushing it, they know they're not going to get there anyways. So therefore,
very true. And they try to
get as much as they can. Many people are
I'm going down, y'all coming down.
I agree with you, sis. I agree with you. Right? There's more on that. Read that again.
This is the book of Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
We through faith and patience of the comfort of the scriptures we might have hope. Right? So get 1 Timothy 2:9. Let me show y'all something, man. So I just Google modest apparel. Right? I'm not here to tell you the definition of modest, but let's just Google. Let's see what Google says. Even Google in this wicked kingdom, right, is telling you what's modest for the most part. Right? So what you got?
This is the book of First Timothy chapter 2 and verse 9. In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel.
Adorn yourselves in modest apparel. Meaning what? Showing that you have good behavior through the strength of your clothing. Showing that you're not like these women, right? Because when you look at these women, you know that they don't have good behavior, right? This is child support waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Right? You think you're gonna be able to get along with somebody like this? Nope. On to the next.
Baby mama's wrong.
Right? And we try to avoid these things, man. When we come into the truth, we want to avoid these things, right? So let's say you talk to her, sis, I'm not saying when you meet somebody or even a man in this truth, right? I'm not saying that everybody's going to be on the same path spiritually, but they got to be willingly at least to hear the words of the Most High and willing to change, right? Okay, that's one thing. All of us were doing wickedness in the world. When I didn't know better, I was one of the most wicked dudes you could ever think of, right? Because I didn't have the law, statutes, and commandments. But I heard the voice of the Lord thy God, and they have to do the same. They got to come out of this wickedness before you deal with somebody like this. This is not of the Most High, right? So read what you got again.
This is the book of 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 9. In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel.
Modest apparel.
Read on. With shamefacedness.
Shamefaced. What does it mean to be shamed? Right? So if we go, let's say I go to the mall, right, and a woman's half naked. What's one of the common things they say? That woman got no shame. She don't have no shame. Right? Where do you think that stuff comes from? Right? We say no shame. Because what? You should be dressed in shame faces. Right? You should have some shame about how you come out. You should have some decorum when you come walk out your door. Right? Present yourself accordingly to the people. Right? Because what? You represent the Most High. We are the children of Israel. We are not the daughters of harlots, man. Right? When we come back into this light, that light needs to show. Right? So keep reading.
And sobriety, not with broided hair or gold, right, or pearls or costly array.
And does that mean you can't wear these things? That's not what that's saying. Right? You just don't want to put your strength in these things. You don't want to be, I gotta get that necklace, girl. Right? You don't want to put your strength in that. There's nothing wrong with looking nice, because when you read Ezekiel chapter 16, it talks about being washed from that blood. Right? When we're washed from that blood, what did he do? He dressed us up in that apparel. He gave us the earrings. He gave us the jewels on our forehead. He gave us the garments. Right? But you don't want to put your strength in these things, right? Start worrying, I gotta get that. I gotta get that new purse, that new Louis Vuitton. A lot of women get stuck on that too. Even brothers, I gotta get the Louis V belt, right? I gotta get the
New shoes that's coming out.
All right, that's going off.
Brand new J's, man.
What you got?
Okay, I don't remember his name, but there was like this guy. He had the surgery to put a diamond on his forehead.
Lil Uzi, bro. That's Lil Uzi. That's all. Lil Lucifer. That's all. Right? That's all. It's so super. That's not what it's talking about when he says put a jewel on your forehead. Right? Sometimes you'll see it in the truth. Sometimes brothers have the garments, not the garments, the headbands that go across their head, and they'll have like the diamonds, right? They'll be embroidered and things like that. That's what that's speaking about. Because what? It looks glorious, right? It's a glorious thing to be in the eyes of the Most High, right? That's not talking about you go have part of your forehead move and replace it with a diamond. That's not what that's speaking about. That's going off, right? We're not to do that as a children of Israel. What you got?
No, earlier you was talking about bathroom signs.
Come
And I thought about Target in like a couple years ago.
Right,
Yeah.
the transgender one, right?
So, yeah.
Perfect. Let's pull that up. Let me see if I can get that one second.
Crazy.
Let's see if I can get that.
That thing is wicked. That thing is wicked.
I'm gonna see. Because this is why you have so much confusion, man. Let me see. I'm gonna try to pull it up here. It shows the transgender one, right?
Yeah.
All right. I don't think this is the right one. Does it have the circle and the thing?
No, this one just had a woman in the half of her dress and then the man.
I'm trying to look for
The man's raw.
Oh, I think I found it. Hold on. No, I don't see that one. But I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Oh yeah, I got it here. All right. So they start telling you. This is all confusion, man. This is confusion. Now, when your child sees that, what do you think he's gonna? Mommy, is it a man or a woman? I don't know.
Is that a specific one or all of them are like that?
I don't know. I haven't been talking in a while, but I've seen this picture
If I
before.
go to the bathroom, a man is in there, it's not.
Hey, no, listen. This is happening. I think there was last year sometime. There was a man in the bathroom with a child or something like that, and the dad like beat him up.
Yeah.
And he got charged for that.
They would rape you
Listen.
pretending to be gay and stuff like that. So,
Sis, we know. And this is when I talk about wickedness, these are the things we fight. So we gotta make sure we keep this thing in a straight line, right? We can't go off to the left or go off to the right. Because as soon as you start going this way, this is what happens.
Bro,
This is what happens.
That just like stirs me up. If I see that man, like,
yeah.
Listen,
That's ridiculous.
I promise you may never. If I have a child and I walk into the bathroom and a man's in there, you probably won't see me again. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
That's just me, right? I don't deal with stuff like
I
that.
pray that I would never put me in that situation.
Absolutely, I agree. Right. So what you holding?
1 Timothy 2:9.
Right. So read that. Did we read all of that?
Read
Read it again. Read it again.
It's the book of 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9.
Uh-huh.
And in like manner also, the woman that women adorn themselves in modest apparel.
Now, is this modest apparel?
No.
Right. This is not modest. All right. Read on.
With shamefacedness.
You gotta be ashamed. Right. Right. Read on.
And sobriety, not with braided hair,
Right.
or gold, or pearls, or costly array.
And what is that sobriety talking about? Right? Being sober. Not drinking from the philosophies of this world. The world pushes these doctrines that you can dress this way. The world tells you that this is okay and you can still find a good husband, sis. Right? But we are not to conform to this world. We are to conform to the law, statutes, and commandments. The Most High is very clear about what He wants us to do and what is required of us. Your spirit will tell you that. Right? We have to come back to the laws of God. It's not easy, but it can be done. Scriptures say, be therefore perfect. Right? What you got to say?
I listened to some of Esau's radio station.
Yes.
Just to find out
Right, I got
where they're at. And even some of them are not on board with that gay stuff.
Listen, we know.
Not at all.
We know.
Some of them are not on board with it.
We know. Absolutely. Yeah, every now and then you have these white people that pop up and they'll say, look, man, I get where you guys are coming from. They understand. Because they understand that this world is going nowhere fast. Right? We continue what we're doing. We continue meshing see, here's what America wants to do. They want to mesh the line. They make everything a gray area. That's why right now, when a baby is born, they get to choose which gender it is. What is that? Wickedness. And it's only, I promise you, it will only get worse from here.
If you crawl to the blue ball, yeah, boy. If you crawl to the pink ball, here, girl.
That's wicked, man. That's wicked. We are to correct our children. Like, for example, let's say we have sons. We are to correct our children's behavior when we see them in a feminine spirit. And it's likewise with the woman. I know me with my Jamaican father, right? He didn't play that. No boxing oil, right? You put your hands on your hip, you finish. Right? You put your hands on your hip, you finish. They don't listen. They don't old school people in the island. They don't believe that stuff. They used to get stoned for that in the islands. Haiti was like that.
Haiti, well, some part of Haiti is not like that, but
yeah, many
the
vast
majority they are like that.
They used to take tires and put it on their head and burn them. Where did they get that from? Where did they get that? And this is how you can tell when we talk about operating in the spirit, right? Where did they get that law from? Right? Let's get it. Leviticus 20 and 13 real quick. Not to go off topic. I'm going to go through a couple more scriptures concerning this topic. I just wanted to be very clear why we do what we're doing. Right? I'm not out here. I don't want to make anybody feel like I'm preaching my own doctrine. I'm just doing it to make myself feel good. Right?
You still on topic.
Right.
Clothing that people wear causes confusion. Teaching the young kids to see us wearing this and that. Like, why are they wearing it?
Absolutely.
It's fine.
Come on, no, I agree with that. So let's see Leviticus 20:13. Come on, all praise.
It's the book of Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 13. If a man also lie with mankind, right, as he lies with a woman.
So you did anything Bati boy like, right? Or you want to be a chichi man, right? Read on.
Both of them have committed abomination.
They both committed abomination, meaning they were disgusting in the eyes of the Most High. Right? The Most High does not like that. You become an abomination, right? We talk about Deuteronomy 22 and 5. You wear that which pertains to a man. That is an abomination in the eyes of the Most High. Right? This is not talking about armor. Because he says, don't wear that which pertains to a woman. Right? When was the woman ever wearing armor? Never. Right? Read on.
They shall surely be put to death.
That's where they got that from. Remember the scriptures talk about the spirit bear witness with the children of Israel. They probably didn't even know why they were doing it. They just know it's wrong. Right? Because there's videos of things of these nations. Like these brothers, if they found out somebody was gay in Jamaica, you finished. Right? You're finished. They used to take tires and burn them with the rubber, all type of stuff. Right? But this is where they got that from. They both shall be put to death. Read on.
Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man take a wife,
right, that's it. Drop that. Right? So when we talk about, for example, when it says they shall be put to death, why did brothers and sisters used to get stoned in front of the whole congregation? Why is that?
Bro, because that's a gruesome sight to see.
Right.
That's something that you could never erase out of your brain.
So when you see that, or even when they used to throw the child off, right? They used to stone children and throw them off the thing, right? Why would they do that in front of everybody? Because when he set an example, he made examples out of people. So I know if I seen that, I'm like, oh, I can't do that, man. Right?
They did that to us when we were enslaved.
Right. Absolutely. They use that tactic in slavery. Right? They use that tactic in slavery. They say, look, man, I'll take the biggest, baddest man and I'll hang him from the tree and castrate him in front of you. Right? And that example was to show what? That even you can't get out of this captivity. Right? So, they use the same tactic.
Like we have a bad kid that won't listen.
Don't take him into the gate.
Come on, let's get that. You want to get that scripture? Or? We can look at that.
Is he being rebellious and does not? I think it's in Ecclesiastes. I think it's in the.
I think it's Deuteronomy chapter 28. Hold on. Yeah, there you go. Start at Deuteronomy 28, 21 and verse 18. All right. So, like even earlier today, I was rebuking a child on the street, right? And people might look at that and they're like, man, that child is only 9 years old. I would do some. Monsters start young. That behavior, when you see something in these children, you need to correct. That's a whole other class in itself, right? About putting the rod to these children. That's a whole other thing. Maybe we'll do that one day. According to the Bible, what does it say? Not abusing, but putting the rod to them. So read that, 21 and verse 18.
This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 21 and verse 18. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him.
They shall take that child. If he be a rebellious child, he don't want to listen to his parents. They take him up, they hold him, read on,
and bring him out unto the elders of his city,
read.
and unto the gate of his place.
Right.
And they shall say unto the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious.
They're gonna say to the elders, the people that are running the school, the congregation, like, look, man, I've tried everything with this kid, right? I've tried everything. I beat him. I tried to put him in timeout. He's just not listening. Said, take him to the elders and let's see what's gonna happen. Read on.
He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard.
Right? You eating all the food, right? You drinking the wine in the refrigerator, you taking your dad's beer, right? Read on.
And all the men of his city shall stone him. Shall stone him.
I thought it was a child. I thought children don't have to go through things like that. He said, all the men, right, the elders of that city, they shall stone him. This is the God that we serve. This is not no patty cake God. God is a strict God. All right? God is a no-nonsense God. It's either you're going to be in order, do it the right way, or you're going to have to lay down. You're going to have to answer to the Most High. All right? And he did these things by men. All right? What you got, brother?
This would be like Christianity, I think, so like overall what we've been talking about. And second, okay, 1 Timothy chapter 4, starting from verse 1 to verse 2.
Verse what?
Verse 1 to verse 2.
Okay, come on, let's look at that. 1 Timothy chapter 4.
Verse 1 to verse 2.
Verse 1 and verse 2. Come.
This is the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4 and verse 1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the later times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits.
Right, they give heed to those seducing spirits. That's a good precept. They give heed to that. They listen to those seducing spirits. Why is something seducing? How do you seduce somebody? Right? If I go to a woman and I seduce this woman, what do I have to do to seduce her? What's the process?
She loves to please her.
Love to please. I want to tell you things that's gonna make you feel good. That's like smooth. I want to tell you these smooth words. Right? Remember in scripture, they say that wickedness seduces the man. Right? Because what? Being wicked feel good. It make your flesh feel good. It make you feel good on the inside. Right? But they give heed to these seducing spirits because what? It make them feel good that they're hearing this. When I first came into the truth, everything I heard did not feel good to me. I had to first realize, I was like, man, I'm being wicked, bro. Man, that's bad. I shouldn't be doing something like that. Right? So if you're in that type of spirit and you still in the truth, come on, man. You're not learning something the correct way. Right? You're not learning something the correct way. Scriptures, remember, forgot who it was when they talked about eating that roll. Right? First it was sweet in his mouth and then it made his stomach.
Ezekiel.
Right? Yes, Ezekiel throttle. Right? Right? Yeah, it's in Revelation as well. But it talks about eating that scroll. Right? When you first put it in your mouth, it tastes sweet. Then when you start digesting, like, oh, no, my stomach's hurting. Why? Because then you start realizing all of these things are required of you. It feels good knowing that you're the children of Israel. It feels good knowing that we shall be in the kingdom of heaven as long as we do what we got to do. But then later down the road, all of these things start coming. That's like, man, you telling me I can't just eat a little bit of shrimp? That's a little popcorn shrimp. Why I can't eat that? That's what brothers and sisters start doing. Right? So it's the same thing with these clothing and things of that matter. These seducing spirits. Read on them.
And doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy.
Speaking lies and hypocrisy, man. Hypocrisy. Read on.
Having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain. Is going to something. Right? Okay, come.
Right? So we talk about the clothing, right? We talk about women's clothing. There should be a difference between the way a man dresses and the way a woman dresses. This is incorrect. This is off. This is off. Right? If you come to camp with me like that, you get kicked up. This is a man. If you come to camp with me like that, I'm gonna tell you to go home. Right? I'm not teaching what you like that, for real.
Yeah,
Exactly. You got jeggings, man. And you call yourself a man. Right? There's a spirit that we have to be in when we go out in the streets, man. Right? Hold on, brother.
Sorry, but that was an abomination.
This is an abomination. Out of the mouth of babes, he said it.
Right.
Out of the mouth of babes, this is an abomination. Right. See, even children, listen, we try to complicate the laws of the Most High, and even children can see this. Right? You got brothers and sisters that's 30 and 40 years old that they can't understand this. Why this is an abomination. That's the okay. Right? We are not to do stuff like this, man. This is confusion. This is conforming to this world. The world made this. Right? Now we did have riches and things of that nature, right? We know we can find in the scriptures where riches were made for men, and then they will argue that it was only made for the priests and things of that nature, but that's not true, right? Because when we talked about those garments and things of that nature that they were making, they were only making it to do what? To show the glory of Israel, to show the glory of Aaron, Moses, Aaron and his sons, right? What you got?
What are breeches?
Breeches are trousers or pants, right? It's pants, right?
Another precept.
Come on.
Isaiah chapter 5, verses 20 to 21.
Isaiah or Hosea?
Isaiah chapter 5.
Stand up and read that out.
This is the book of Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20 to 21.
Mm-hmm.
Woe unto them that call evil good,
Right?
and good evil.
Right? Woe to them that call it good and good evil, man. Right? We don't want to be those people. We want to be able to distinctly, say, okay, this is good, this is bad. Right? And sometimes the Spirit will tell you. Being in this truth for a while, it will tell you what's wrong and what's not wrong. So I remember debating about when I first came to the truth. He was telling me that, you could do drugs. Right? You're telling me, I said, if you were a leader of a congregation, I said, would you tell your members to do drugs? He said, no. I said, why? Why would you do that? Right? By using the scriptures, there's something called a wisdom. By putting all these scriptures together, when we talk about not defiling the temple, if you defile the temple, if you defile what God has given you, which does not belong to us, it's only a vessel for our spirit, the Most High will destroy you. Right? That's in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Right? Right, read on.
That put darkness for light and light for darkness.
That put light for darkness and darkness for light. You choose the dark way, man. You choose the ways of this world instead of the ways of the Most High. The Most High is very clear what he wants, man. All right? He's very clear. Read on.
That put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes.
That's a perfect scripture right there. Woe unto you that are wise in your own eyes. And I'll tell you this. A lot of people start coming up with, and I know it's brothers that teach people wear pants and things of that nature. Okay, that's fine. Let's say that's fine. But when you start going all the way left, right, they become wise in their own eyes. Most of these people don't have a congregation. They're the people that's teaching only on YouTube. I call them keyboard Israelites. Right? You're not in the streets. You can't, because a lot of times these doctrines that they make up, it won't stand in the streets. Right? Your doctrine has to be pretty solid to go before a lot of people like that, right? You're gonna be getting cut up all over the place. So that's why we try to stay in that narrow path, right? It's more than Come on, go ahead.
And prudent in their own sight.
Right, and prudent in their own sight. Meaning what? What does prudent in your own sight mean? What does the word prudent mean? Anybody know? You know? What is the word prudent? We go over it all the time, man. I bring this up every week.
I know, I remember.
No, you didn't talk about it.
Okay, prudent. The word prudent means having care for your future. Meaning be able to look into the future and having care for that. Being able to establish how you're going to move moving forward before you even get there. Scriptures talk about being a prudent man and a prudent woman. As Israelites, we are all to be like that. Right? So these are things we have to go back. So I'm going to get a couple more scriptures and we're going to go through the Torah. Give me Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter, let me see. Let's get 19 and verse 29. Matter of fact, hold that. Give me Sirach 26 and verse 25 first. 19 and 29, and then Sirach 26 and 25. Because we talked about the woman having shame when she dresses, right? She should be shamefaced, right? So let's see what the scriptures say about a woman that has no shame, right? How does God feel about that? 26 and verse 25.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 26 and verse 25,
right?
A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog.
As a what?
As a dog.
You know what it says? A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog. I don't think anybody in this room wants to be counted as a dog in the eyes of the Most High, right? So we have to have some shame, right? Have that shame faces. Not making sure you present yourself appropriately, man. It doesn't matter if you're going to the mall. It doesn't matter if you're going to an event, because you still can be beautiful. I tell women this all the time. You still can be beautiful, right, with a dress on, all right? We see it all the time in the truth. So what's the problem? Are you being wise in your own eyes? Have you taken heed to seducing spirits? Something that you just wanted to do? Right? You got to question yourself. I always tell people, examine your ways, man. Right? I have to do that myself, even though I'm up here. Right? I have to examine my ways. Am I doing what's right in the eyes of the Most High? Right? When I read the scriptures, can I line myself up? Right? That's what we got to do. So read that again.
Verse 25. A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog.
A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog. And if you go into the GNT, I'm pretty sure you don't want to see what that says. You don't want to see what that says in the GNT. Because the GNT version of the Apocrypha says it way worse than what we just read. Right? Read on.
But she that is a shamefaced will fear the Most High.
But she that is shamefaced will fear the Most High. Right? Fearing the Most High means what? Keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. All right. Two more scriptures. Sirach 19 and verse 29. And this is very simple. We can prove this when we look into, when we talk about asking our forefathers and our foremothers, right? If we know our foremothers didn't wear pants, right? Scripture talk about asking them for the good way, to set in the old path. If we know they didn't do that, we need to go back there. Because we know that everybody is living in a more wicked time now, right? So we have to go back there. We got to search out what they were doing and where they got that from. Why weren't they wearing pants in the first place? Right? That's the question that nobody want to answer. Right? So read what you got.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 20 and verse 9. There is a sinner that has good success in evil things.
19 and verse 29.
19 verse 29. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 19 and verse 29. A man may be known by his look.
A man or a woman, right? Remember, it encompasses both sometimes. A man or a woman shall be known by his looks, right? So if I'm dressing a certain way, you should be able to tell what type of man I am, right? Well, most people that come up to us in the street, they'll say, "What? Man, we're kind of scared, man." Right? Why are you scared? Because we dressed up like soldiers, right? There's a certain spirit that we have on us when we go on the street. We dressed up like we in the army, right? What's it? Right, the brother, right. Good point. But we teach them one day, the brother said, "I know y'all got this. Y'all all strapped. Y'all ready." Nobody had a gun on them. We reading off the Bible, right? And you think we got? Why is that? Because there's a certain spirit that comes from how we speak, how we dress, how we talk. Everything has to reflect the Most High that we do, right? So read on.
And one that has understanding by his countenance, when thou meetest him,
right?
A man's attire and excessive laughter.
A man's attire, a woman's attire, right? Read on.
And excessive laughter, and gait,
right? And the way he walked, the gait, G-A-I-T. What does that mean? The way you walk, the way you laugh, right? If you sit here laughing out your throat, somebody might call you a fool, right? So it says your attire, your excessive laughter, and the way you walk. Read on.
Show what he is.
It shows what you are already. It shows me what spirit you coming in, right? When we talk about being able to discern spirits, these things were given to us for discernment. It was given to us for our wisdom. I already know what type of person you are, right? Right? In the world, they have a saying that says you can't judge a book by its. That's not according to the scriptures, right? That's not according to the scriptures. Just like they say, oh, sticks and stones can break my bone, but words will never hurt me. That doesn't say that in the Bible. It says it pierces down to the asunder, right? Down to the marrow, it cuts you down. That's why these brothers and sisters have such a hard time when we come out preaching the word, right? This is why it's in their spirits. Everything comes from your spirit first. This is not a fleshly thing that we're doing, right? Your flesh is reflected off your spirit, all right? So we got to make sure we understand that. All right, last scripture. Give me Exodus chapter 28 and verse 40. 28 and verse 40. 28, I think it's 48. It's about 42. Oh, shoot.
This is the book of Exodus chapter 28 and verse 42. And thou shalt make them linen breeches,
right,
to cover their nakedness.
Right, so it's talking, I'll go into context. We read this last week, but it's talking about the priests. The priests were men, right? Talking about making those linen and breeches. When you go into what these breeches are, it's pants, right? It's pants. These are things that we would wear, all right? So when we talk about having that spirit of being feminine and masculine, these are the things we need to master, especially in these days, because we don't want to confuse our children, right? We don't want to confuse our children. We want to make sure our children see us as an example, right? We want to make sure that when our daughters grow and say, you know what, I never really saw, every time I see my mom wear panties in the house, or whatever the case might be, or vice versa with your dad, right? And my dad used to wear these nice garments when I was younger, man. I want to get the same garments, right? When we talk about training up a child in the way he should go, these are things we ought to teach our children. It's only for their benefit. Wearing a dress is not going to hurt you, right? Taking off those skinny jeans as men will not hurt you, right? We are always to execute the Most High's word, to be in His spirit, and be on our separate ways. A man and a woman were created differently, right? It's only the world that tries to merge the two, right? A man is not a woman, and a woman is not a man. They have two separate purposes on this earth, right? So we have to get back to that, right? So that being said, we're gonna end that part right there. We're gonna jump into the portion. Does anybody have any questions about what we brought? Yes.
I actually do, only because I like to work out.
Yeah.
And so I haven't really been working out because I'm trying to figure out how to do it because
yeah, I mean, we've seen sisters, they put on like little shorts under it, right? But it's how you represent it. The purpose of wearing a dress is just what? To show who you are. That, listen, I'm a woman, all right? So if you put in something under that, that's fine. Right, that's up to you. We've seen sisters do that. It's not necessarily all, right? The whole purpose of it is to what? It's to distinguish who is a man and who is a woman, right? There should be no confusion. So, I mean, we've seen that some sisters. I know that Nike makes these type of dresses for them. They're like athletic dresses. I've seen sisters work out in those. That's fine, right? It has more of like it's a loose, but it's not flying up everywhere and things like that. You know what I mean? So. These are things, I mean, there's ways we can do this, right? It might take a little more extra work to serve the Most High, but that's the world we live in, right? All of us in this room, it takes a little work to serve the Most High. It's not going to be easy, right? So those are things we can do. But good question. Maybe I could have one of the sisters sing something when I get back. We're going back and forth a lot of those tonight. Maybe I can have some of the sisters sing Brother Joshua something, and they can show you, kind of what they wear when they work out. All right. No problem. So, you have any more questions, any more concerns, any more comments? All right. All praises. Hallelujah. All right. So we know a man is a man and a woman is a woman. We want to keep it that way and serve the Most High in truth and sincerity. Hallelujah. All right. So, before I get started, I'll probably mention this because we're going to do counsel after. What we're starting to do we're gonna change the service time, right? So the time is gonna be from 12 o'clock to 12:30. I know usually we start from 12:30 around 12:30 between 1, but we're gonna be changing the service time from 12 o'clock to 3 p.m. We're gonna read straight through. We're gonna go through our little lesson for the day, and then we'll do our portion. And then, you know, the brothers are gonna head out and go to camp. So what we'll do, like we eat or whatever, we'll just eat after that, after like 3 o'clock. You know, so we set up that prayer, we start eating, and then people could start going home when they want to. But the brothers, whoever wants to go to camp, will stay here, will head out to camp. And that way, I mean, the reason they did this is because a lot of times when the brothers go out and teach, we don't have a lot of sunlight, right? And it's kind of hard for brothers and sisters to kind of sit there, you know, look on videos, and we're teaching in the middle of the night. So we want to kind of get that sunlight and get everybody in balance of times. So, and we'll discuss that during the council. All right. So today's portion is Exodus chapter 30 and verse 11 through Exodus chapter 34 and verse 35. All right. So before we move on, what were some of the things we learned last week? What were we talking about last week?
Portion or portion?
The portion.
What the men wore.
What the men were wearing. All right. All right. What some other things? Ephod. God, all praises, right? We talked about all of these things, how we were being set up as priests, how we were to worship the Most High, how the tabernacles were set up, you know, the garments, right? The Most High was very specific on what we needed to do to worship Him, right? And these are the things we need to learn because we're trying to get back to them. We're trying to return to our heritage. This is why reading the Torah is so important, right? This is why reading Exodus, you know, Genesis, Deuteronomy, Numbers, right? Leviticus. This is why it's so important. We have to come back to our Heavenly Father. Right, so let's get started with the book of Exodus chapter 30 and verse 11.
This is the book of Exodus chapter 30 and verse 11. Mm-hmm. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, when thou takest the sum of the children of Israel after their number, then shall they give every man a ransom for his soul unto the Most High. Mm-hmm. And when thou numberest them, that there be no plague among them, when thou numberest them, right, this they shall give every one that passeth among them that are numbered half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary.
Right. So they had to give a ransom up for the Most High, right? They were giving that ransom. They paid the Most High just in worship, showing them that thankful. There were things that were required of the children of Israel. Right. Read on.
A shekel is 20 parahs. Mm-hmm. And half shekel shall be the offering of the Most High, right? Every one that passeth among them that are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering unto the Most High.
So why did they say 20 years old and above? Anybody know?
That's the
why did they say 20 years old and above? Not you. Why did they say 20 years and above? Anybody?
When you were mature.
That's when they were mature. That's when they became an adult. Yes, absolutely. Right, read on.
Verse 15, the rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less than half a shekel, when they give an offering unto the Most High to make an atonement for your sins.
Right, so it shouldn't be more than a shekel, right? And it wouldn't be more than less than a half a shekel for somebody that was poor, somebody that didn't have it like that. Right, read on.
And thou shalt take the atonement money of the children of Israel, and shall appoint it for the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, mm-hmm, that it may be a memorial unto the children of Israel before the Most High, to make an atonement for your souls. Mm-hmm. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, thou shalt also make a laver of brass, right, and its foot also of brass, to wash withal. Mm-hmm. And thou shalt put it between the tabernacle of the congregation and the altar. And thou shalt put water therein, right, for Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet thereat.
Right, so there's labor with brass, right? These are the things that they use to wash themselves, right? These are the things before they used to send up these sacrifices or, you know, send up prayers to the Most High, they would go to the Holy of Holies, anything, right? They would have to wash themselves because the Most High is very big on being clean, man. Right? The Most High doesn't deal with uncleanness when it's with Israel. Remember, even when we went out to camp or to war, what did he require of the children of Israel? He said, make sure there's no uncleanness before you. Right? Make sure that everyone's clean before you go out to war. Right? Read on.
Verse 20. When they go into the tabernacle of the congregation, they shall wash with water, that they die not. Or when they come near to the altar to minister to burn offering made by fire unto the Most High. So they shall wash their hands and their feet, that they die not, and it shall be a statute forever to them, even to him and to his seed throughout their generations. Moreover, the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, take thou also unto the principal spices of pure myrrh 500 shekels, of a sweet cinnamon half so much, even 250 shekels, and of sweet calamus 250 shekels, and of cassia 500 shekels, right, after the shekel of the sanctuary, and of oil, olive, and hin, right, and thou shalt make it in the oil of holy ointment.
Right, so all of these things they put together and they were making a holy ointment. And you're going to see what they did with this holy ointment. Read on.
An ointment compound after the art of the apothecary. It shall be in holy anointing oil. And thou shalt anoint the tabernacle of the congregation therewith, and the ark of the testimony, and the table and all his vessels, right? And the candlestick and his vessels, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offerings with all his vessels, and the laver and his foot, right? And thou shalt sanctify them, that they may be most holy.
Right, so they were sanctifying all of these items, right? They were sanctifying the altar, the laver, all of these things. They had to sprinkle that oil on, right? And sanctify, make them separate. Read on.
Whatsoever touches them shall be holy, and thou shalt anoint Aaron and his sons, and consecrate them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. Right? And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, this shall be an holy anointing oil unto me throughout your generations. Upon man's flesh shall it not be poured, neither shall ye make any other like it.
Right, so you're not allowed to make any other oil like it, right? So you can't pour this on man's flesh. Read on.
After the composition of it, it is holy, right? And it shall be holy unto you. Whosoever compoundeth it any like it, or whosoever putteth any of it upon a stranger, shall even be cut off from his people, right? And the Most High said unto Moses, take heed unto these sweet spices, steaks, and uncha, and galbanum. These sweet spices with pure frankincense, of each shall there be in like weight, and thou shalt make it a perfume, a confection after the art of the apothecary, tempered together, pure and holy. And thou shalt beat some of it very small, and put of it before the testimony in the tabernacle of the congregation, where I will meet with thee. It shall be unto you most holy.
Right, so he's telling you all these smells, right? The Most High, when you realize what's going on in the scriptures, when we talk about sacrifices and things of that nature, the Most High is very big on the type of sacrifices going up, the smells of the spices, right? It always talks about that sweet savor, right? The Most High smelling something, right? When we like the frankincense and myrrh, there's a reason why we like the frankincense and myrrh. There's certain things that there's a purpose behind us lighting this thing, right? We don't light it for any reason, right? This is a communication between us and the Most High, right? What you got?
Where can you get frankincense and myrrh?
Any herbal store, Amazon, yes, Amazon's probably your best bet. I know some people do mix their frankincense and myrrh, so you have to be careful about that. And they'll say it's 100% pure. Some frankincense and myrrh doesn't smell like others, right? You'll start realizing that once you you get used to that smell. You'll be like, this isn't right, exactly. Exactly right. So you'll start realizing, okay, this one's not real, we gotta get rid of it. But you'll get used to it. Huh? But Amazon's probably your best bet. But verse 37, and as for the perfume which thou shalt make, ye shall not make to yourselves according to the composition thereof. It shall be unto thee holy for the Most High. Whosoever, verse 38, whosoever shall make like unto that to smell thereto, shall even be cut off from his people. Verse 30, chapter 31. So we weren't allowed to make any other oil like that. Most High gives specific instructions how to make that holy anointing oil for what? The tabernacle, the laver, and the altar, all of these things. And it wasn't supposed to be poured on people's flesh. He said, don't make any other oil like the one I'm giving you right now, or you shall be cut off from your people forever. Right? So we gotta make sure we understand that. All right, read on.
Verse 31. Chapter 31. Mm-hmm. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, see, I have called my name Bezaleel, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and I have filled him with the spirit of the Most High in wisdom and in understanding and in knowledge and in all manner of workmanship.
Right, so we know that the Most High gives people spirits to do all of these things, the workmanship, right? I mean, we have brothers at LOZ like that. I'm pretty sure a couple of camps around the earth has people like this inside their congregation. Like, for example, this garment, my brother designed this garment, right? So when we start looking at what these brothers are making, their staffs, right, the garments, everything for the sanctuary, we have the spirit of the Most High that was given to these people. So what? To beautify us, right? He allows us to have that. That's exactly what he did here. He put the spirit of artsmanship, workmanship, and he gave that to the children of Israel. All right, read on.
Verse 4, to devise cunning works, to work in gold, and in silver, and in brass, and in cutting of stones, to set them, and in carving of timber, to work in all manner of workmanship. And I, behold, I have given with him Ahilab, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan. Mm-hmm. And in the hearts of all that are wise-hearted, I have put wisdom, that they may make all that I have commanded thee, the tabernacle of the congregation, and the ark of the testimony, and the mercy seat that is thereupon, and all the furniture of the tabernacle, and the table of his furniture, and the pure candlestick with all his furniture, and the altar of incense, right, and the altar of burnt offerings.
They're making all of these things.
Jeez,
right? You got to be very talented to be putting these things together. Right? Read on.
With all his furniture, and the laver and his foot, and the cloths of service, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons, to minister the priest's office, and the anointing oil, and sweet incense for the holy place. According to all that I have commanded thee shall they do. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily, my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Most High that doeth sanctify you.
Right. We talked about this earlier, about how big the Most High was on this Sabbath day, man. All throughout the scripture, it's talking about this Sabbath day. Why does he keep talking about this Sabbath day? Right? You got to understand why the Sabbath day was given to us. I mean, one of the reasons is what we're doing right here, to actually understand what he's saying in the Bible, having that time. You have to set that time aside to learn about the Most High. Right? He says you need that Sabbath day. All throughout the scriptures, keep my Sabbath day. You can do work, you can do what you want to do in the 6 days, as long as it's within the law, statutes, and commandments. But that 7th day, I want that from you. Right? Like priest tells us, what if the Most High, right, required you to worship him 6 days and only gave you one? He was being very generous, man. If he created all this, the heaven and the earth, created the sun, the moon, the stars, why can't we set our time aside for the Most High? It's the least we could do, right? The least we could do. All right, read on. Verse
12. Verse 12. Yeah.
No, 14.
14, come. Verse 14. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Every one that defileth it, it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Most High. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore, the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Most High made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. And he gave unto Moses, and when he made an end of communing with him unto Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimonies, tables of stone, were written with the finger of the Most High.
Written with the finger of the Most High. The Most High gave these to the children of Israel. Through who? Moses. Right? So we know what? The Sabbath day is a sign between us, the children of Israel, and the Most High. Right? It talks about how he puts the spirit of workmanship on certain people to do what? To beautify what the Most High has. Right? Imagine you serving the Most High. The Most High didn't want you to just serve in bad conditions and things like that. We got to make the place look beautiful, right? That's why, I'm getting there. We hang up little pictures here and there, right? Got one picture up, got some little lines here, right? It might not seem like much, but we'll get there, right? We continue building as we go on, man, right? That's how we all start. That's how this truth started. That's how, the children of Israel started. They had to start from somewhere, right? So we continue to build back up the bodies of the Most High.
But how are you saying if they don't in the Sabbath, the week put together? What if they're not in the truth and they work on the Sabbath?
What if they're not in the truth and they work on the Sabbath?
What if they don't know?
That's why we're here. They don't know, right? That's why we're here. That's why you gotta tell them, right? If you see somebody working on the Sabbath, tell them, hey, I don't think you should be working. It's the Lord's Sabbath. And walk away. Right. Drop a little jewel. Let me tell them. Yeah, don't go rocking up to random people because you never know, these people got spirits on them. But say if you're having a conversation with somebody, maybe an adult, because, hey, I don't think we're supposed to be doing it. And don't argue with them, obviously. You want to be respectful. You're still a child, right? You tell them that, you just walk away. Simple. Right? That's our job as the children of Israel. If they don't know, we are here to teach them. Right? Kind of good question, though. All right, chapter 32.
Chapter 32 and verse 1. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him.
So they're saying Moses been in Mount Sinai for so long. They're like, what happened to this brother? I thought he was coming back. Obviously something happened to him, right? Let's see what the children of Israel did.
And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings, which are in the ears of your wives.
Now Aaron is supposed to be a priest. He knows better. He said, break off all the earrings in your ear, all this gold you got on, all the jewelry. Let me get it, right? Right? Read on.
Which are in.
What you got, sis?
Was it just willingly? Because Aaron knew better.
That's a good question. That's a good question. When Moses, we're going to read further. When Moses asked him why did he do it, he said that you know how the children of Israel are. They asked me to do it. It doesn't specifically say that they forced him or anything like that. Right. But it may be implied, right? I don't like implying in the scriptures, but it could be that they forced him to do it, right? Because Aaron knew better. And it looks like, right, when we read this, it looks like he just willingly said, nah, hey, just give it to him, let them serve, right? But Moses was hot with Aaron because he did that, right? And we're going to read that further. That was a good question. What you got? Gangsta boom.
I know what's gonna happen next.
Don't spoil the story.
Don't spoil it.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it. No spoilers. No spoilers.
You have a question? Don't spoil the story. Look, we're going to read on. Read on. If you want to add to it, I'll let you add after you read it. Read on.
Verse 3. And all the people break off their golden earrings which were in their ears and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand and fashioned it with a graven tool after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation. And
in verse 4, it says, these be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land.
Oh, heck no.
So imagine the Most High just rescued the children of Israel, and now they're saying, look, this molten calf is the one who did that. Can you imagine how hot the Most High must have been?
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Oh, brother, right?
This is why we went into slavery. And
this
this same spirit shows on the children of Israel right now today.
right.
So simple-minded. You just got out of that hard, rigorous bondage, and now you make you a calf and say, this guy's why we came out of slavery. What? All right?
Cannot walk, cannot talk,
Right. And he told them, don't do that.
Aaron really did that?
He did it. He was a priest, man.
Yeah.
Right? Right, read on. Let's see.
Tomorrow is a feast to the Most High. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play. And the Most High said unto Moses, go, get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I have commanded thee.
Right? He said I just told them don't do what they're doing, and they're doing it. I commanded them don't go that way, and they went that way. Why? Because scriptures say we are stiff-necked and rebellious children. It shows until this day who the children of Israel are. We continue to go out to this day, right? For no reason. They have no real good reason on why they're doing what they're doing. Right? Read on.
They have made them a molten calf and have worshipped it and have sacrificed thereunto and said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Most High said unto Moses, I have seen these people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked,
read on,
people.
Stiff-necked people, man. Right? What does that mean? Hard-headed. Right? Read on.
Therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation.
He said, listen, man, get away from me. I'm about to wipe everybody off the face of the earth. All these children of Israel, my so-called people, I'm about to wipe them off the face of the earth. Get away from me. But he told Moses, he said, out of you, I'll make a great nation. But let's see how great Moses was. This is why Moses was a great man. Right? Read on.
And Moses besought the Most High his power, and said, Most High, why doeth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with a great power, with a mighty hand?
He said, why are you getting so mad, man? He said, you just brought us out of Egypt, man. Right? Read on.
Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth?
Right, so he's saying you did all of this just to wipe us out? Come on, Most High. Come on, Father, please. This is Moses. Remember, he just told, he wasn't going to get rid of Moses with the children of Israel. He told Moses, I will make a great nation out of you now. And Moses went to the Most High and said, no, don't do this to the people, man. I love the people. It just goes to show how great of a man Moses was. Right? He stuck up for the children of Israel, even though he wasn't going to be involved. It had nothing to do with him.
Yeah, but because of us, he didn't make it to the promised
land. That's right, absolutely. And then we caused him not to make it. All right. Read on.
Turn from thy fierce wrath and repent of this evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by by thine own self, and saidst unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Most High repented, of the evil which he thought to do unto his people.
Right, so he remembered his covenant. He said, man, I feel all right. Let me calm down a little bit. Mind you, this is Most High. I mean, this is Moses negotiating with the Most High. I want you to understand that he's questioning the Most High. He's reminding the Most High of what he already knows, right? And he's just this is going to show you that Moses was down for his people, man. Right? He put his life on the line to save the children of Israel, right? And that's how we gotta be, right? We gotta look at Moses as that example, right? People may curse us out and things of that nature, right? We get hot. Moses, you're gonna see Moses was hot with the children of Israel, but what? At the end of the day, he stuck up for them, and that's what we need to do, right? When we go on those streets, we hot with the people, but when somebody talk about our people, we get listen. Man, I talk about my people like that, right? Let me worry about that. You know what I'm saying? This is the same spirit Moses had, right? Read on.
Verse 15. And Moses turned and went down from the mountain, and the two tables of the testimony were in his hands. The tables were written on both their sides. On the one side and on the other were they written. And the tables were work of the Most High, and the writing was the writing of the Most High, graven upon the tables. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, there is a noise of war in the camp. And he said, it is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome.
This is not the voice of war that says they have a victory or that they've been overthrown. But read on.
But the voice of them that sing do I hear.
Yeah, they're singing. They're having a good old jolly time. What are they doing? Read on.
And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot.
So he just told the Most High, don't be upset. Now Moses getting mad. He said, I just did all this negotiating with the Most High, and y'all down here celebrating a calf, right? Y'all singing, right? Moses got extremely upset with the children of Israel at this point. All right, read on.
And he cast the tables out of his hand and brake them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire and ground it to powder and strawed it up to the water, up upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink of it. And Moses said unto Aaron, what did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot.
He said, don't get mad at me, Moses. Read on.
Thou knowest the people.
You know how this people operate. When you were gone, you know. They probably were pressuring Moses. Pressuring Aaron. They're probably saying, look, man, please. Right? He remind you, Aaron is left in charge of the people once Moses went up to the mountain. They're relying on Aaron for answers. They probably pressuring him, asking questions. Yo, please, man, make us a God. We don't know what happened. Look how long you've been gone. Right? That's what they did. Read on.
That they are set on mischief.
So you know this people, you know they're set on mischief, man. They're set to do evil things, man. Read on.
For they said unto me, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him.
Right. So they're saying, make us a God, because we don't know what happened to Moses, man. We don't know if he's coming back. He's been gone for a long time. We need something to worship. We need something to put our trust in. Right? Read on.
And I said unto them, whosoever hath any gold, let them break it off. So they give it me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies.
What does that mean when he said Aaron made them naked among their enemies? What does that mean? He made them sin, right? And what did he say about their enemies? Why was that such a problem? He said, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. Why was that such a problem? Right? We just read that at camp today. Give me Judith 5:20. Right? Why was that such a problem? He said, you made this people, right, sin. You made them naked. Right? You gave them shame in front of their enemies. Meaning what? You put them at risk, man. You almost killed everybody.
Once we stand, the Messiah is not good at that.
Absolutely. Right? So read that. Judith 5:20.
This is the book of Judah, chapter 5:20. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their Most High, let us consider that this shall be their ruin.
That this shall be their ruin if they go against the Heavenly Father. Read on.
And let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by.
Right? Let my Lord now pass by. If there be no iniquity. Right? So we know that even the enemies knew, right? If the Most High is not with us, they can overcome the children of Israel. Right? Remember, these people, they were great nations out there, man, with thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. So we had to make sure that the Lord was always on our side when we were in the midst, right? It said he said Aaron made them naked, man, right, among their enemies. Right? So jump back. Verse 26, 32 and 26.
Verse 26. Then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on the Most High side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, thus saith the Most High Power of Israel, put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses.
And so what were they doing? They cleaning up house, man. They cleaning up house. Because what? These people just went off. He said, if you're not on the Lord's side, separate you. Let's see who's on the Lord's side right here. Everybody that's not on the Lord's side, if you're not willing to serve the Most High, what did they do? They were killed, man, by the children of Levi. Right? Read on.
And the children of
Lock it real quick. Let me point this out, because a lot of people, they'll say, what the Bible contradicts itself. Doesn't it say thou shalt not kill? Why would the Most High allow Moses to tell the children of Levi to do that? Right? So you say, when you go into the Hebrew word for kill, it's murder. You shall not murder. Right? This is a judgment that has gone out by the Most High. Right? He said, get rid of them people if you don't want to serve God, because that's how they started serving that calf in the first place. Right? What you got?
Because they're committing sin.
Absolutely, they were committing sin. That's why they were killed. Right? That it was a sin to worship that golden calf. That's why he killed a lot of people, man. All right, read on.
Verse 28. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses, and there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. For Moses had said, consecrate yourselves today to the Most High, even every man upon his son and upon his brother, that he may bestow upon you a blessing this day. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses said unto the people, ye have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up to the Most High. Peradventure I shall make an atonement for your sins. And Moses returned unto the Most High and said, oh, this people have sinned a great sin, and have made them gods of gold. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written.
Now look at Moses, what he just said. He said, if you're not going to forgive these people of their sin, blot me out the book, man. Moses is giving up his life for the children of Israel right now. He said that multiple times, right? He said, if you don't want to forgive these people, just blot me out of the book, right? I don't want to do this anymore. Because what? Moses loved the children of Israel. And that's how we have to be. We have to love each other, man. We have to love the children of Israel. Love the nation, right? Show the nation what true love is again, man. Because we lost that, right? When we read scripture, talking about having that fervent heat, man, right? Having a fervent love towards your brother, towards your sister. These are the things we have to go back to, right? Read on.
Verse 33. And the Most High said unto Moses, whosoever hath sinned against me, him will I blot out. Him will I blot out of my book. Therefore, now go, lead the people unto the place of which I have spoken unto thee. Behold, mine angel shall go before thee. Nevertheless, in the day when I will visit their sin upon them.
Right.
And the Most High plagued the people, because they made the calf, which
go ahead.
Which Aaron made.
So right, so not only did he kill some people, then he started plaguing some people. Right? He thought they made it out free. Thought they were good. Right? So the Most High killed people, and then he started sending those plagues out. All right? Read on.
Verse 30, chapter 33. And Moses said, and the Most High said unto Moses, depart and go up hence, thou and the people which thou hast brought up out of the land of Egypt, unto the land which I swear unto Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob,
right,
saying, unto thy seed will I give it, and I will send an angel before thee, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, the Hittite, the Perizzites, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. For I will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in the way. And when the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man can put on his ornaments, his ornaments. For the Most High said unto Moses, say unto the children of Israel, ye are a stiff-necked people. I will come up into the midst of thee in a moment and consume thee. Therefore now put off thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto thee. And the children of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments by Mount Horeb.
Right, so they started taking off all their ornaments, everything that they were wearing, that jewelry. They started taking that stuff off because they didn't want the Most High to consume them. Right, read on.
And Moses took the tabernacle and pitched it without the camp, afar off from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of the congregation. And it came to pass that every one which sought the Most High went out onto the tabernacle of the congregation, which was without the camp. And it came to pass, when Moses went out of the tabernacle, that all the people rose up and stood every man at his tent door, and looked after Moses until he was gone into the tabernacle. And it came to pass, as Moses entered the tabernacle, the cloudy pillar descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle. And the Most High talked with Moses, and the people saw the cloudy pillar stand at the tabernacle door. And all the people rose up and worshiped, every man in his tent door.
Right, so we know that the Most High was dealing with him at this time once they seen that pillar of smoke. Read on.
And the Most High spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. And he turned again into the camp. But his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. And Moses said unto the Most High, see, thou sayest unto me, bring up these people, and thou hast not let me know whom thou wilt send with me. Yet thou hast said, I know thee by name, and thou hast also found grace in my sight. Now therefore, I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, show me now thy way, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight.
Right, so he's saying, if you really deal with me like that, I want to see you, man. I want to see what you're really about. Show me your way, right? Read on.
And consider that this nation is thy people. And he said, my presence shall go with thee. I will give thee rest. And he said unto him, if thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. For wherein shall it be known here that I and thy people have found grace in thy sight? It is not in that thou goest with us, so shall we be separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth. The Most High said unto Moses, I will do this thing also that thou hast spoken, for thou hast found grace in my sight. I know thou know thee by name. And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Most High before thee. And will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. And he said, thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live.
He said, I'll deal with you, but I can't show you, face to face who I am. He said, any man that see me, you gotta die, right? Just that simple, right? This is just how respectable and honorable the Most High was, or is, right? If we desire to see the Lord face to face, it says you can't do that. So you have to die to do that, right? Read on.
The Most High said, behold, there is a place by me that thou shalt stand upon a rock, and it shall come to pass, while my glory passes by, that I will put thee in a cliff of the rock, and will cover thee with my hand while I pass by. And I will take away mine hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen.
Right, so it's shall not be seen by Moses, right? But we know that he was dealing with Moses the whole time, right? He was the one that Moses was the type of person that he would put his life on the line for us. This is why the Most High respected Moses, right? Because the other children of Israel, they were stiff-necked, impudent children. They were the rebellious children. That was Moses, talking to the Most High like that. That's why he dealt with him in that manner. Right? So last chapter,
Chapter 34, and the Most High said unto Moses, hew thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and I will write upon these tables the words that were in the first tables, which thou breakest. And be ready in the morning, and come up in the morning unto Mount Sinai, and present thyself there to me in the top of the mountain.
When did Moses break the first 2?
When you saw them dancing.
That's right. All right. Just a test. I want to make sure y'all paying attention. Hallelujah. All right, read on.
And no man shall come up with thee, neither let any man be seen throughout all the mount, neither let the flocks nor herds feed before the mount, or before that mount. And he hewed 2 tables of stone like unto the first. And Moses rose up early in the morning and went up onto Mount Sinai, as the Most High had commanded him, and took in his hand the 2 tables of stone. And the Most High descended in the cloud, and stood with him there, and proclaimed the name of the Most High. And the Most High passed before him, and proclaimed that the Most High power, merciful and gracious, long-suffering, and abundant goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children's children, unto the 3rd and to the 4th generation. And Moses made haste and bowed his head toward the earth and worshipped. And he said, if now I have found grace in thy sight, O Most High, let my Most High, I pray thee, go among us, for it is a stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us from thine inheritance. And he said, behold, I make a covenant before all thy people. I will do marvels such as have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation, and all the people among which thou art shall see the work of the Most High. For it is a terrible thing that I will do with thee.
All right, so when you go into the word for that terrible, it just means to be impressed, right? It's impressive, right? Read on.
Observe thou that which I command thee this day. Behold, I drive out before the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves.
And why would we do that? Why did we have to go break down their images and their groves and things of that nature? Does anybody know?
So we don't go worship their gods.
So we don't worship their gods, just that simple. The Most High is very big. He says, I am the Lord thy God, a jealous God. Right? Meaning what? You don't put anybody above the Most High because of all the things he's done for us. Right? So get rid of all those images so you don't go off. He's giving us a tool so we don't go off. Right? Read on.
For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Most High, whose name is jealous, is a jealous Most High, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a-whoring after their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, that and thou eat of his sacrifice, and thou take of their daughters unto thy sons, and their daughters go a-whoring after their gods, and make thy sons go a-whoring after their gods.
Make their sons go a-whoring after their gods, right? So we know that us as the children of Israel, we are not allowed to marry or take women or men outside the nation, right? Everybody understand that, right? Right? You understand that, sis, right? So if I ask you a question like, oh, can we love the white man and get married? Right? Would you tell me? No, absolutely. Right? We are not to do those things. Right? Because what? It will turn your heart from the voice of the Lord. Right? Just that simple. Read on.
Thou shalt make thee no molten gods. The feast of unleavened bread shalt thou keep. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee, in the time of the month of Abib. For in the month of Abib thou camest out from Egypt. All that openeth the matrix is mine.
All that openeth the matrix, what is that referring to? The womb. Right? All that come out from their mother's womb. Right? Read on.
And every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male, but the firstling of the donkey thou shalt redeem with a lamb. And if thou redeem him not, then thou shalt thou break his neck. All the firstborn of thy sons thou shalt redeem, and none shall appear before me empty. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest. In earing time and in harvest thou shalt rest.
Right, so we know for the Feast of Unleavened Bread, what are we supposed to do? What do we do for Feast of Unleavened? What you got, John? You gotta eat unleavened bread for 7 days. Why is that? What does that represent?
Purity and unblemished, being unblemished and
spotless. Right, absolutely, right? So when we talk about leaven, right, it talks about, I think it's in the book of 1 Corinthians, it talks about that leaven. Some leaven, a little leaven, leaveneth the whole lump, right? So this is what that represents. Whole 7 days, we eat that leavened bread or unleavened bread, salah. All right, we got to eat that unleavened bread for 7 days. This is one of the things that is required of us as the children of Israel. All right, so our heritage being returned to us, we know that we are to participate in this. Right? Come on, read on.
Verse 21. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest. In airing time and in harvest thou shalt rest. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of the wheat harvest, and the first of in gathering at the year's end. Thrice in the year shall all your men, children, appear before the Most High power, the Most High of Israel.
Right. So 3 times in a year, the men were supposed to what? Attend the Most High's feast days. 3 times out of the year. Why does it address the men and not the women? We went over that too. Cleanliness, right? Because sometimes a woman could fall on her cycle at that time, or some type of uncleanness can happen to them. That's why it says that 3 times in a year, that man has to show up. That is a requirement by all men. All right, read on.
Verse 24. For I will cast out the nations before thee, and enlarge thy borders. Neither shall any man desire thy land, when thou shalt go up to appear before the Most High thy power thrice in the year. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, neither shall the sacrifice of the feast of the Passover be left unto the morning. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring unto the house of the Most High thy power. Thou shalt not see a kid in his mother's milk. And the Most High said unto Moses, write down these words, for after the tenure of these words I have made a commandment with thee, with Israel. And he was there with the Most High 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the table the words of the covenant and the 10 commandments.
All right, so we know that Moses was just built differently, man. Because he just fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Wow, right? I don't know if you guys have ever fasted before, but listen, when you start getting to that second and third day, man, you looking crazy. Right? We just goes to show you our forefathers were built differently, man. Right? They were able to sustain those things. We get to the second day and we start seeing unicorns and we start hallucinating and things like that. But this is the thing we want to practice, man. We want to get back to that fasting, training your body how to do that. Because it's possible. We just have to make sure we train ourselves. Right? What you got?
Should kids start? So why should they become teenagers? Should they start fasting or can they start young?
I think it will depend on your parents, right? Whatever your parents want to start letting you fast, because they know you're the best, right? They know, what type of person you are. They know if your body can handle that. Would you say you're able to start fasting? Absolutely.
Not really.
He's not ready? He's not ready? He can't handle it?
No.
He goes crazy? Come on now. You got to tighten up on the spirit, man, right? So, that's important for our young children. How old are you again? 11. You're definitely ready. Right. You're definitely ready, right? We have young brothers who participate in the Day of Atonement. You'll trust me. It's a little difficult at first, but you start getting used to it. These things, when we do, does everybody know why we fast? What's the purpose of fasting? What you got?
To be closer to the Most High.
To be closer to the Most High. That's when you start. You could get closer, right? You start letting go of your flesh. Right, and you afflict your soul at this time, right?
When you're fasting, can you drink water?
Real fast is no drink. Remember what Moses just did. No food, no water. Now there is other types of fast, right? You could fast from television, whatever. But when we teach a true fast, no water, no food. That's a real fast right there. Because I remember when I first came into the truth, I used to drink water like water fast. I couldn't handle no drinking. I couldn't handle no food, but no drink. I was thirsty, but that's a real fast according to the Most High. No drink, no water. That's it. All right, let's read on. Salaki, does everybody understand why we fast? You answered that, right? To get closer to the Most High, to afflict your soul. Right? Read on.
Verse 29. And it came to pass when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tables of testimony in Moses' hand, and when he came down from the mount, that Moses wist not that the skin of his face shone while he talked with him. Right. And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come nigh him.
Moses' face was shining. That goes into that whole fasting thing, because what happens when you fast and you start eating again? All right, let me see. Let me Isaiah 58 and 13. No, it's not 13. It's actually started at verse 2. Why did he start shining? Just like when Daniel fasted, right? After Daniel was done fasting, he sprang back to health. But scriptures tell you why these things happen.
Isaiah 58 and verse 13.
Start at verse 3.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 58 and verse 3. Wherefore we have fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast, ye find pleasure, and exact all your labor.
So what it's going into is what you're not supposed to be doing while you're fasting. You can't find pleasure while you're fasting. This is a time for you to specifically separate yourself unto the Most High. Right? Read on.
What was that?
Isaiah 58 and verse 3, and we're going to verse 4 right now. All right, read on.
Behold, ye fast for strife and debate.
You fasting for strife and debate. You fasting until, but yeah, I fasted 15 days, but how long did you fast? That's not the purpose of a fast. Right? Read on.
And to smite with the fist of wickedness. Ye shall not fast as ye do this day,
Right?
to make your voice to be heard on high.
Your voice not supposed to be heard on high, right? You doing all this talking, you just, you acting like it's a normal day. Afflict your soul, man. Separate yourself to the Most High when you do these things. Read on.
Is it such a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush?
What is a bulrush? When a bull holds his head down and he starts rushing like he holds his head down. Let's say, when we fast, should we just hold our head down and be sad? No. Read on.
And to spread sackcloth and ashes under him.
So what happens when you spread sackcloth and ashes? That means you're lamenting, right? Are you supposed to be depressed while you do these things, while you're fasting? No, right? Right? You're not supposed to be sitting there saying, oh man, I'm so tired. I've been fasting all week. You're not supposed to be telling people that. That's between you and the Most High. Unless you're fasting as a congregation or a body or something like that, right? You don't want to be heard on high telling everybody that you're fasting. Read on.
Will thou call this a fast and an acceptable day to the Most High?
You read it?
Is not this the fast that I have chosen?
Right.
To loose the bands of wickedness?
To loose the bands of wickedness. That's why we fast. To loose the bands of wickedness. If you're dealing with something, fast. Right? When we used to go to war and things of that nature, we used to fast all the time. So the Most High can hear our voice. Read on.
To undo the heavy burdens.
Right? So you dealing with something you can't really handle, fast, man. You undoing the heavy burdens that have been placed on you. Read on.
And to let the oppressed go free, that ye break every yoke. Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry?
Right, so letting the oppressed go free, right? Forgiving those debts. Is this not what you're supposed to be doing on a fast, right? It says, is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry? Feed some people, man, right? Give out the word to the people. Read on.
And that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house.
Feed them a little bit. Give them some clothing, right? Don't focus on yourself. Focus on the children of Israel who need it, right? What you got, man? Come on, let us finish this and we'll pull it up. Come on, read on.
When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hid and that thou hide not thyself from thine own flesh.
Don't hide yourself from your people when they're looking for you, right? They need you to hold them up. This is the time you do that. You're fasting, man. All right, read on.
Then shall they light break forth as the morning.
All right, so now we talk about why Moses' face was shining. Why did Daniel spring back the health so fast? Right? It says, when you're done with this fast, it says, then shall the light break forth as the morning. Read on.
And thine health shall spring forth speedily.
Come back fast, man. Right? Comes back fast. This is why he was shining like that. He gave off a different aura in his skin. Read on.
And thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Most High shall be thy reward.
The glory of the Most High shall be thy reward. Right? We get that we get to be with the Most High. The Most High gets to protect us and walk us down the path of righteousness. Right? These are the things we strive for as the children of Israel, man. Right? Atoning for your sins, the Day of Atonement, fasting is a very important thing. This is how the children of Israel communicated with the Most High. You feel like you're going through something, feel like something you can't deal with, fast, man. Fasting is a very big deal. right? People like to just kind of push that to the side.
You can get that next verse out.
Yeah, come on, let's get it.
Verse 9. Then shalt thou call, and the Most High shall answer.
Right.
Thou shalt cry, and he shall say.
Then you shall call, and he gonna answer. You shall cry, and he shall say what?
Here I am. If thou take away from the midst of thee the yoke, the putting forth of the finger, and speaking vanity,
Right.
and if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry,
Right.
and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday.
Right. Keep reading.
And the Most High shall guide thee
The
continually.
Most High shall guide thee continually. Right? He will guide you continually if you just do what you need to do. Atone for your sins. Right? Afflict your soul. Fast here and there. Right? If you know it's been a while since you fasted, fast. Right? Just that simple. Read on.
And the Most High shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones.
Fat thy bones, right? Make you strong. When we talk about getting that perfect peace, that perfect health. All right, read on.
And thou shalt be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water whose waters fail not.
It's gonna be like a garden when you water. It's gonna be a beautiful thing, man. Like it starts sprouting up all over the place. It starts yielding those tomatoes and those peppers and things like that. The Scotch bonds, right? That's how we want to be, right? So if we want to be like that, we gotta fast. Moses was a perfect example of that. When he went into that mountain, he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and the Most High dealt with him, right? And then his health started springing back. Man, face started shining, right? So let's finish off on chapter 34.
And when Aaron, verse 30, this is the book of Exodus, chapter 34 and verse 30. And when Aaron, all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come nigh him. And Moses called unto them. And Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him, and Moses talked with them. And afterward, all the children of Israel came nigh, and he gave them the commandment, all that the Most High had spoken with him in Mount Sinai. Until Moses had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But when Moses went in before the Most High to speak with him, he took the veil off until he came out. And he came out and spake unto the children of Israel that which he was commanded. And the children of Israel saw the face of Moses, that the skin of Moses' face shone, and Moses put the veil upon his face again until he went in to speak with him.
All right, so we know that the Most High was doing something magnificent with Moses right there. All right, his face was shining. Right, he had just came out of the mount for those 40 days, those 40 nights. Right. These are the things we have to make sure that we're paying attention to, because these are examples to us. When we see how Moses moved with the Most High, we got to get back to that, man. All right. So let's clap it up for the Most High first. So that was on today's portion. We're gonna finish off early today. Like I said, we're gonna start finishing the service at 3, so we can get out to camp a little bit early. Allows you guys to get some time in for the Sabbath day, go through some scriptures, ask questions if you need to. So I guess what we'll do now, we're gonna send up the prayer. I guess we'll eat, and then we'll have our little council and discuss how we're gonna be moving forward. How any ideas want to come out about what we need to be doing as far as our YouTube, as far as Ghana, whatever the case might be, bring it up. This is the time to discuss these things. We want to make sure that we function as a body. All right. Like I say, I can't do it by myself. We function as a body. All right. Let's bring out those ideas and get some good questions and things like that. What you got?
When you're fasting, do you have to fast for a whole day, or can you choose a certain time to fast?
You can choose a certain time. You can choose a certain time. I'll say that. You can choose a certain time. It's specific.
Yeah, but it has to be a whole day, not 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's a good point, sis. I didn't know kind of. What you got?
Like you wake up and you fast until like 6 p.m. Is that okay?
I would stay away from that. You know, I would prefer, like your mother said, fasting the whole day because people, I mean, we want to make sure that our fast is beneficial. We want to make sure that we feel, all right, the effects of a fast, right? A fast does not feel good, right? And it's not supposed to feel good. So if you just, you stop fasting or you start fasting only for 5-6 hours, what purpose is that? It's not a real purpose there. The purpose of our fast is what? To afflict our soul, right? You're gonna be hungry during your fast. That's the purpose, right? That's the purpose of a fast, right? Afflicting, leaving your flesh aside and focusing on your spirit. All right. So let's try to aim for a day. When you start fasting, we have the Day of Atonement. It's gonna come up, and maybe we could try it then. But it's nothing wrong with practicing until we get there. All right. Anybody have any questions before we end off? All right. Like I said, before we leave, we'll have counsel while we're eating, and then we can break off for today. What you got?
Actually, I have something that's related to Sabbath work because obviously we're still technically in captivity.
Yes.
And with my job, I'm not required to work Saturdays other than like one specific time in a year because of my job, and it's mandatory. And like, what would I do during that time where they're telling me I have to work? I don't have a way out of it.
As a servant of the Most High, I can never tell you to break the commandments of the Most High, right? I have to preach the word. We are to do everything in our ability to keep the laws of the Most High, whether in our captivity or whether we are in our land. I'm not going to tell you, go to your boss and say, hey, I'm not working, and then you get fired and you can't pay your bills. I'm not going to say that. That's not wise for me to say. I'm going to leave it in your hands to make that happen, all right? We want to strive to keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability, right? And we don't want to make loopholes or excuses. Now, if let's say you go to and you try, they say no, all right, you got to go in, right? It's nothing. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and judge that matter because I'm not the Most High. But you want to do on your part to say, look, I tried. I got bills. I got to pay the bills somewhere. Right? We are in captivity. I get it. We are still in captivity, and the way this captivity works, they require certain things like that, right? Same thing with me. Like they sometimes you need to come. Me personally, I can't do it. Now if they force me to do it, I'm gonna weigh that option and see what I need to do because you got bills to pay. I can't pay your bills for you, right? Everybody else can't pay your bills for you, so you got to make that decision and say, look, I could get away with telling them no. Or you can't get away with telling them no, and you got to make sure you find out the best option. But as a servant, I can't tell you to break the commandments.
No, I understand.
Right? So do it in your best ability. Do what you do. But she only needs that for one time out the year, right? You said only once.
It's probably gonna be 2 Saturdays because how it works is like everybody moves out at the same time because it's student housing.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we have the 31st of July, that's a Saturday when everybody moves out, and I'm part of like me taking on the job is it's a mandatory. Like,
I got you.
But everybody that works there has to be working that Saturday and the following weekend because of the 2 weeks that we try to get all the apartments ready.
Right. No, I got you. You got to do what you got to do. Like I said, just try it on your end. I mean, if you can't make that happen, then you got to do what you got to do. We got to live. We got to get our bread. Sometimes that's what it takes. All right. Remember, that's why I hate to use the Christian way of logic, saying that's why Christ died for our grace and things of that nature. But that's what it is, right? The Most High understands these things. We are still in our captivity. We still are. So, just try your best ability. All right. Any other questions? All right. So we'll stand up, face the east. We'll send up a prayer, and then we'll eat, and then hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 133, the Lashon Kadash, repeat after me. Shayar, Amahaiwa, Adawad, Hana, Ma, Tawa, Wama, Now Young, Shabbat, Akim, Gum, Yathad, Hashaman, Atawad, Al, Araash, Yorad, Al, Zaquan, Ha'aran, Shayarad, Al, Bayah, Aduwakua, Katol, Karamwan, Shayarad, Al, Arayah, Taziyawan, Bayah, Shum, Kazawah, Yahweh, Ak, Abraka, Ayam, Awalam, Hashem, Mashiach, Yahushai, Awada, Yah, Amen.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 133, and verse 1. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, as the dew that descended upon the mountain of Zion. For there the Most High commanded the blessing, even life forevermore. Bahashim Mashaki Hausham, the water of Yah. Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
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 Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you once again. We thank you for giving us a peaceful Shabbat day. We thank you for allowing the angels to minister your word unto us, the children of Israel, as we come back into your fold. We ask that you continue to give us knowledge, wisdom, understanding, patience, power, confidence, all of these things we ask in your Son's name. We ask that you continue to watch over the brothers in the four corners of the earth who go out to the highways and byways and compel the children of Israel to come back into the house of the Lord. Again, we ask that you watch over the fatherless, the widows, the hungry, and the sick. And we ask that you continue to bless the children of the Most High. All these things we ask and say in your Son's name, by Hashem, Mashiach, Yahushua, the water from Yah. Amen.
Amen.
So, we'll take, about